Yeah, welcome everyone again. Thank you so much for joining in this workshop, and thank you for sharing all those introduction about yourself. I will read through all of this maybe at the break time or maybe after the workshop. Okay, and yeah, let's start. So this is going to be next 3 days. So today we'll be having 5 hours workshop. We'll take 30 minutes break in meantime. So most probably by like maybe 4 hours and 4 hours 30 minutes workshop we will have today, and tomorrow we will again have 5 hours or 5.5, 5.5, and maybe day after tomorrow we will have another 5 hours and 5.5 maybe. Okay, depending on the concept and how fast we can go. Okay, because you need to understand the concept, right? It's not like that I will just go ahead and teach the concept. So this is the workshop, which is a project based workshop. So we will continue while you are learning it. Okay, if I'm going fast, you can let me know that it's little fast, so I will adjust my piece accordingly. Okay, so let's start with the data. Okay, so anyone can tell me what you understand by the data? What do you think? What is data to you, and what is your understanding on this data? We are living in a data world. So again, just a quick question. So what do you think the data is? And give me one. Anyone can take the lead and let me know what you think data is.
Yeah, hi. Data means like it is a large value of information which is available for different resources and what we need.
Anyone else? Thank you.
Hey, Praveen here. It is a piece or a collection of values which describes a real world object.
Yes. Anyone else?
It is any information that we can include as a data. Anything.
Yeah, we can say it's a collection of informations. Okay, which is, you can say it's organized, and you can also say it is not organized. Right now, when it is not organized, it should be like it should be a stage where we can organize it, right? Because if you are not able to organize it, and that's not going to communicate any, the data should tell something, right? If let's say if you have a data and that doesn't tell anything, so it's not going to, like, I mean, I can just write ABC. I mean, maybe it will not be a data, right? But if I just label it something like maybe it's a password, so I can say it's a data, correct? So the data has to be the easiest way of defining data. You can say that, I mean, whatever you have shared, it's correct, absolutely. Okay, but the easiest way to define data is that it has to be, it is to be organized, or it has to be in a stage where you can organize it. Okay, yeah, I know it's, the screen is not shared. I will just share it again. I was just sending a email, so let me share it again. Okay, so we'll see some examples to understand this concept, and then we will continue. Okay, now you see here. Okay, let me just make it a little bold. So I hope you can see my screen, right? So I have example of a dashboard, which is different tasks. You can see different colleagues are doing. Okay, one, somebody is kind of analyzing the data using a pie chart. Okay, line area chart, and we have geospatial chart, maybe bar chart, and dashboard. Okay, so here we are analyzing the data, right? But based on the data, you need to bring some insight from the data, right? Because if I just write something like this, okay, if I just go ahead and say, I write something like this, okay, so this could be a data, but till the time it is not organized, you cannot say it's a data, right? But if I say that password, so this will be a data, right? There could be different 1,000 customers, and they will have a password which is, maybe it's not readable. You will not be able to, get the meaning from it, but it's a data, right? Because there could be user ID as well. There could be user ID as well, something like this. Okay, so there could be 1,000 of user ID together, right? So that would be a data. So data is a collection of informations. Okay, you can say collection of informations which is organized. Okay, which tell a story, which tell something. So that's a data. Now that's it about the data. If you want more, insight about the data, so whatever you do, it's collected data. Let's say you are, you are maybe entering in a form, you're entering your details, you're booking a ticket. Okay, you are visiting Google and you are searching something, so that capture the data. So everything that we do digitally, that's a data. Even if it is a not digitally, which is the like earlier era, so that was also data. Like maybe you are getting a bill, electricity bill by paper, right? So that is also data. You have informations like what was the unit and what was your bill, what was your previous bill, okay, date, due date, so many informations, right? So piece of informations together, you can say it is a data. And yeah, that's it. So we will now talk about skills and demands. Okay, so I have some screenshot which kind of tells that what is the demand for each skills at the moment going on. And so this research was done by one of the YouTuber, which is a famous YouTuber. And so if you talk about SQL, for we're talking about now data analysts, we will also see some other profile as well. For data analysts, you can see the SQL is having the highest demand. We have Excels, which again the second highest. Python, you just need to know the basics, for entry level 1 to 3 year experience and job, maybe basic level automations. And then we have Tableau, so which is a data visualizations tool where you can visualize the data. Then we have Power BI, R, and SAS, which is software as a other software options. Okay, now R is like kind of discontinued now. Not many people prefer R, so people are more of like preferring Python. Okay, and then we have the SQL, which we use to manage in the data. So this SQL is the what you are going to learn in this workshop. Okay, talking about some more profile, you will see most of the profile having higher demand for SQL. So we have, which is called SQL. This is for data analyst. We have data scientist, data engineer. So if you see for data, this is for data scientist and data engineer. Okay, this one is the for data engineer. So for data analyst, SQL have the highest demand. For data engineer, you can see the SQL have the highest demand because the engineer built like more of like pipelines, data pipeline, right? And for data scientists also, you need to know SQL because whenever we talk about any interviews, so there'd be like one SQL rounds, one Python rounds, okay, and maybe one for Power BI or maybe data visualizations if they have a requirement. But even if they do not have mentioned, if they have not mentioned about the data visualizations, so that means that is not going to be a round for that. Maybe in the Python round, they may ask 1 or 2 questions regarding any of the data visualizations tool. But having SQL and a clear understanding of SQL concept, you can kind of get a job into data analyst. Now talking about that the job market, we will maybe talk about that in the last day, like how you can get a call, how you can crack interview, how you can identify what is your challenge and how you can solve those, work on those challenges and then crack your basically, 3, 4 or third or fifth, interview, right? If there is any. Okay. Now that is it about the different roles, and you can see the demands for each of these roles. Okay. Now quickly let's understand what SQL does. Okay. So you have a database. So I hope every one of you know what is database. Now, even if you do not know, I'm going to explain that. So database, you can say it is a container where you have data which is organized. Okay, now we're talking about relational database management system. That means the data we are talking about in a tabular format, transactions data. Like when you buy something from Amazon collect your, collect the time, which time you purchase it, how you paid it, how much you have paid it, what is your address, what is your customer's ID, each and everything, right? They capture everything. They put that information into a table. Like table, you already know, right? You have used Excel, you have used Google Sheet. So you have a columns and you have a rows. Okay. So the informations are stored in a table. This tables, so tables is stored in a database. Okay. Now using SQL, you can write a commands in your computer and you will be getting the data. Let's say you want to know last 1 hour how much sale we have done from Delhi. Okay, you're working for Amazon and the managers just want to know last 1 hour sales from Delhi. So you will just write a quickly, one line of queries, and that's going to fetch the last 1 hour sales from specific region, or maybe entire India, or maybe USA, or maybe Canada, or maybe anywhere, whatever it is, right? You will just write some commands that's going to get you the data real time from your database. Okay, because as soon as the sale is captured, the informations are captured and stored organized way in the database because that designed by the data engineer. Okay, so because I was just checking a post today from Blinkit. So Blinkit CEO was posting that they have done like maybe today, I've not today or tomorrow, yesterday they have done this many sales last 1 hour, this many iPhone 16 sales, because they're delivering iPhone in 10 minutes. Okay, so you can relate that those kind of problems you can kind of query using SQL, SQL query, right? Because for last 1 hour, you are not going to build a dashboard which is going to show the last 1 hour sale. I mean, you can, but most of the time you will simply write a queries to kind of quickly get that, right? What you are looking for, what manager or CEO or the, the founder is looking for. Okay. or you can create a store procedures as well, which we will see. That's going to automatically get them what they are looking for within just one click without even writing the queries. Okay, we will see that. So that is it, SQL. Now we will learn more about SQL in depth. Okay, so let's see the concept that we will cover in the day one. So today is the day one, and today we're going to touch the basic concept. Now, even if you are familiar with the basic concept, okay, I really appreciate that. Just bear with me, and maybe it's going to be brush up for the all the concept. Even after having so many years of experience, I still go through the basics, okay, again and again and again, because you learn, you forget, right? So only the way which can keep you ahead is that you need to revisit the concept. So even if you know each and everything, it's going to be maybe you learn something, or maybe it's going to be brush up. So today, more of like what we will cover is the basic concept, but you will learn problem solving statement. You will learn how to kind of tackle problems using the basics statement, right? So in the basics, we will talk about select, where, order by, limit, distinct, and where conditions, filter, different logical operators, comparison operators. So we'll talk about aggregation functions, group by, join, subqueries, okay? And we will talk about date functions. So we may solve one or two interview questions as well. Okay, so this is going to be the day one concept. Now, at any point of time, if you have any doubt, any challenges with anything, what like while I'm covering that concept, you can just unmute yourself and let me know. Okay. Now let's see some of the data types. Okay, first let's understand what is database, and then we will see data types. Okay, different database types. Okay, that we have today. Now, when you talk about a database, so database, as I said, it's a container where you can store different. If I talk about relational database management system, which you can see it here. Okay, so relational database are the tabular format data. Like you have a data in a table. Let's say it's a product data, it's a sales data, it's a customer data, shipping address data, it's a return data. So all those data are stored in a table and they are stored in a container. Okay, so that is a database. Now, let's say if you talk about the other database, okay, there are different databases are there. Now maybe I can just maybe add a new page here and maybe show you with an example. Okay, so let's say we have a website called Amazon here, okay, which is selling product. Okay, now there is a customer, okay, who bought a product. Okay, so Amazon would want to capture this information. Okay, so Amazon have something called database where they have like different tables. Okay, so this is the database, and we can just go ahead and say this is the Amazon database. Okay, this is the Amazon database, Amazon DB, and they have a different tables. Okay, in this database, this table has a sales information, this table have some other informations, okay, like maybe orders, this table have product informations, this table have shipping informations. Okay, so as soon this customer buy something, the information get automatically captured here. Okay, so that is stored in the database. Now there could be another guy which is like maybe the sales representative or maybe the data analyst, okay, which is sitting here, and he want to see last 1 minute sale. Okay, so he will type in his computer, he will just open SQL or maybe whatever the ID is he's using, maybe the PostgreSQL, pgadmin4, or maybe anything else. Okay, whatever the IDs they're using, tools, he will write some queries and he will be getting the data from here, right? So this is how it is working. Now this container that you see, okay, this container that you see, this is a database. Okay, now we have a different database. Now for you can say for relational database. So this container, the database that you see, this will be stored somewhere physically. Okay, maybe in the kind of the same office, or it could be in the clouds. So when you talk about cloud, that means they bought a computer in some other location, maybe in USA. Okay, and there they have set up their computer and they have kind of bought the space and they are kind of storing this in database over there. Okay, so that is a different things, but this is stored somewhere physically because that computer must be having some space where they have created this database and they're storing, right? So what you need to understand here is that database is simple container. Now data, you know what is data, right? Data you already know data, and you know database. Okay, so this is the database, and you know SQL, right? So SQL is the query, the language that you will write in your machine, and then the machine is going to get you whatever you're looking for. Okay, so this is how the entire the picture works. Now if you see, we have different types of database. we have a centralized database, we have cloud database, which I have just talked about, like GCP, AWS, we have relational database, which we're going to talk about. We have network database, again, that's a different concept, okay, but we will focus on only relational database. We have distributed database systems, like mostly the website, maybe our website which I run, that's based on distributed database systems. We have NoSQL, which talk about like maybe the informations about the Amazon product page that you see, that's based on NoSQL, okay, because that has a lot of informations. Then we have, and this relational database used for the transactional database. Transactional, like if you just go to Amazon, and you purchase something from Amazon, okay, so see, my informations would be stored as in a table, so that is a transactional. If I buy something, maybe I'm buying a product, so those information, the product name, price, and my address, my city, all those informations would be stored as a what, in an order table. Okay, now if the product is being shipped, that is going to store in a shipping table. Okay, so they have a different table, so all those things are transactions a table, so that means they each other connected. But if you see this product page, also have some image, it has name, it has price, it has seller. Okay, so we have a lot of information here. So this is based on NoSQL database. Okay, if I talk about maybe LinkedIn, okay, so LinkedIn has a different database. Like if I talk about maybe my account and my name, all those informations, and different user account, so that will be stored in a relational database, which is in a tabular format. Okay, but if we talk about maybe all this this post and this content, they maybe use something called graphical database, or different database. So different concepts are using different database. We do not need to know all those different types of database. What you need to know, database is just a container where the data is stored. Like in your phone, you are storing the photos and you're storing videos, music, files, okay, all those things, right? But you can only store if you have some space, right, in your phone. So that means in your phone, there is a physical chips that is being installed that determine that what is your space, like 128 GB or 256 GB. And based on that, only you can store that much, files or informations, right? So that is it about database. Now let's talk about the types of database we have. Okay, so we have something called graph database. Okay, not important for us. Documents type, so where you store like photos, image, videos, all those things. Okay, key value pair, more of like the JSON files. Okay, we have white columns and the table based, which we will talk about this one. Okay, the table based. Now let's see the types of RDBMS. Okay, so RDBMS is you can say it's the tools that is going to give you facilitate you to write your queries. Okay, which is going to connect with your kind of the database, and you will be getting your results. Okay, so RDBMS we have, which is called Relational Database Management System. What is the tool that you will be using? It is the kind of the language, you can say, or it's the tool. The language is going to be SQL, which is called a structured query language. But RDBMS is the tool. Okay, so we can use MySQL to create our database and store our database and get the data. And we can use PostgreSQL, we can use Oracle, we can use SQL Server. Okay, so all these are different tools that you can use to manage your database. When you talk about database, like it's kind of create tables, storing data, retrieving the data. Okay, all those things. Okay, these are different tools. When you talk about SQL, we will talk about in next slides. So SQL is kind of what it's, you can say SQL is the language that you write. Okay, so usually what happens, if you know the computer only understands something like 0 and 1. Okay, so the computer doesn't understand what you write, like, hey, get me the data where the city is Delhi. It doesn't understand. So now what usually happens when you write a query, SQL convert that into machine code, which the computer understands, like binary code 01000001111, something like that. And then based on that, it fetch the data from the database, and then it kind of convert it back to the way you understand. So that is what SQL job is. Okay, it's an interpreter. Okay, you can say, but we call it it's a language, right? Same as like we have Python, Java, Scala, okay, all those things. Okay, now you can see it here. What SQL does, you can see it here. You have a different tables. You get the data, right? So you have a file system. In the file system, you would have to scroll through all the files to find out what you're looking for, right? But if you have a database systems, so you can write your queries, you get a data within 1 second, okay, milliseconds. Okay, so the SQL full form is structured query language. Because why it is structured query language? Because you will be writing the queries in a structured way, okay, which we will learn. So you need to define like which column you're looking for, which data you're looking for. Okay, so the data is managed in a structured way in SQL. I mean, using SQL, you can only write a structured query. You cannot write any other, unstructured query. Okay, so that's the reason we call it structured query language. Now, I have really less slides, not too many, but even if you're getting bored, so I would really apologize for that, but it's very less slides just to understand the basic, fundamentals. Okay, so we have best RDBMS, you can see it here. So Postgres has the highest demands, few reasons. Postgres is open source, free for everyone. Now, you may heard about Zerodha, okay, which is one of the Indians top broker company. They use Postgres. Okay, there are so many big company, very big, large scales. They use Postgres to manage their data set. Maybe you can take example about Hotstar. Okay, Hotstar. So they use Postgres. Okay. Now different options. I have it here. You can see it here. Okay. Now this is and their demand. You can see the percentage. Okay. Let's talk about why SQL. Why we call SQL is the most easy language. So this is the reason. This is the page which tells each and everything about SQL. Okay. Now in SQL we only have 5 different commands. Okay. From this 5, only you just need to know 2 commands. That's called DDL and DML. Okay, and DQL. So DQL is just retrieving, like select statement. Okay. Now once you know these 3 commands, you're good to go. You can clear any level interview. You can you can solve any problems. Okay, because TCL and this DCL deal with more of like giving rights, revoking right. Okay, maybe like IT admin or system admin will have to do something with it, or maybe your managers. Okay, TCL is more of like transactions, control, which is called asset properties. Again, not important for us. Create table, create database, drop table, delete table, and drop is like deleting tables, or dropping tables, dropping database. Alter is like renaming table, adding new columns. Truncate, we have truncate, which is going to trash the table, but it will leave the table structure like name, and the data types would remain same, but data is going to be deleted. Okay, we have renaming table, renaming database, renaming columns. Okay, these are the DDL command, which is called DDL command, and then we have called DML command. Okay, this one called data definition language. Okay, data definition language, and DML is called data manipulation language. So we have insert, where we insert a new records. We have update, where we update a new existing record. We have delete, where we delete records. We call a functions or store procedures. When we do it, we log a functions or store procedures. Okay, all these things we have in the TCL. We have something called commit. When you are working for a transactional, when you are working for a transactions, so you can do this commit commands. Okay, there is something called say point rollback. So all these are for transactions. So transactions, it's again, another vast topic. I would say you can source about the asset property, which is called asset property. Okay. So in a asset property, it's like same as like using, maybe UPI payments. Okay. So when you do a UPI payments, what usually happens? First, the system check your bank balance, my bank balance. They sum both the balance. Then they kind of check the money that you are trying to send. Do you have that much money or more than that? Okay. If yes, then they check that they transfer the money. The fourth, they will again sum your account and my account. So the first sum and the second sum must be same. If any of the sum is not the same, then the entire transaction get cancelled. Like all the you can say transaction get cancelled. Okay. So this is how the UPI works. And this is called asset property, which is called atomicity. Okay, so that means while doing all those transactions, there could be multiple transactions will take place, but each transaction will be different from each other. So they will not know each other's transactions. They will not collapse with each other. Okay, so this is again a vast topic. We can do some research about asset property. Now let's go to our next slides. Okay, so in the next slides we will learn our last concept, which is going to be this of this PPT. So that is called data types. Okay. Now every language have some standard data types. So data type is like, see, data like in computer, the computer only understands 0 and 1, right? Computer only understands 0 and 1. But when you talk about data types, okay, so data type is something like each language has some standard. If you're typing ABCD, okay, if you're typing ABCD, so, and we are talking about 0 and 1. Let's say you are entering a date like this one. You can see it's a date, right? But it's a 0 and 1 only. But how this computer know it's a date? Okay, So that is the reason we have created, I mean, whoever has invented, they have created some standard. So that is how the computer know that, okay, it's not a normal 0 and 1, the number, it is a date. Same way we have time, we have timestamp, we have integer, which we call int, int short form, this one. Okay, we have decimal number, which is called the decimal portions number with decimal portions like this portion you can see. We have float, which is kind of again decimal with the decimal portion, but it can have multiple, you know, numbers, unlimited. And we have char and we have varchar. Okay, so char is again characters, but used for the small number of you know, characters. Now we have varchar, which is again used for storing text like name, address, city. Okay, all those things, email address. Okay. So here you have something called n, you can see, okay. N means you know to define how large your text is. Let's say you are defining a columns. So how large the column is going to be. What is the, let's say it is a, you know, a column where you are storing something called customer's address, right? So you need to make sure how large the address can be, like maybe 550 characters, 100 characters. Okay. So each character is count, even space is count as a one character. So here you need to define it while you know, defining char and varchar. Now, one important thing to note here is that when you define a data types, it has to be this format, okay, which is called y. Then we have month, then we have day, okay, because the computer only accept in this format and it must be inside this single quote. So cannot double quotes, single quotes. Same way in the text, when we will enter in text, it has to be inside the single quotes. Okay, let's say hi. This has to be single quotes. So that is it about the data types. Now we will be seeing a lot of different data types, and we will be learning how each data types works. Okay, one interview questions quickly. Let me just cover that. Okay, let's say the interview question that is being asked is what is the difference between char and varchar? Okay, so I will be covering that. Okay, like what is char and varchar? So when you talk about char is like, if you see while creating a column, let me just open Excel. Okay, maybe demonstrate this. It's going to be better to open Excel file. Okay, so let's say you are saying call ID and call customer name. Okay, now here ID, let's say you can go ahead and say 1 2 3. Okay, simple 1 2 3. But when we talk about customer name, some customer have really large name, maybe the, you know, the Indian customers, like which are from South India. Okay, maybe, you know, Odisha or any other in a state. So here you need to define. In Excel you don't have to define what is the limit. Okay, automatically Excel works, but in SQL you will, while creating the database, you need to define what is the limit. Let's say I define it something called varchar 25. Okay, so somebody, when they will be creating kind of, they will, somebody when you will, they will insert the records, or the system or UI or website is inserting records into this table. This data that they will store in this record, that must be under 25. If they store something like very large, which is more than 25, okay, that's going to give error and it's not going to allow that. Okay, so here the varchar that you have defined, the text limit that you have defined, each character is 1. Okay, when the space is also 1, count as 1, because that is how it consumes the space in the memory, right? That is for varchar. Now, when you talk about char, so char is also same. It works for the small number. You can define up to maybe 10. Okay. Now, the difference between char and varchar is that the char is going to automatically reserve. It's going to reserve like the 10. If you define it 10, even you are entering like maybe something called Zara. Okay, see, I have not used the remaining 6 right here, only short name, but it is going to consume the space for remaining 6. That means if you have defined as a 10, it is going to reserve the space for the rest of the 10, even if your name is not 10 characters. Okay, it's very important concept, you know, to understand, because this is being asked for the, you know, make you confused. Okay, so the way you can define it here, even here, if I have 25, if I just write a small name called maybe Zara. Okay, now it is going to only take this 4 space, 1 character, 2 character, 3, 4 character space. But here, as I have defined it as a char and I have defined it as a 10, so it is going to consume space for 10 characters. Even my name is starting with only, my name only has 1 characters. Okay, now if you define it as a varchar, the good point is that even if your data, if you define it like 255, okay, still it is not going to consume that space. It is going to consume the real-time data, the data, what is the limit of this data, what is the length of this data. So that is going to capture, and that is going to only utilize. Okay, so that is the difference between char and varchar. Now that is it about our last concept. Now let's go ahead and launch our applications and let's start writing query. Okay. All right, so let me just maybe close this. Okay. Let me also close it. Okay. Perfect. So let's now go ahead and launch our application, which is called PG Admin 4. Now, the people who have joined late, if you have not able to download it, just go to download Postgres SQL. You can just write download Postgres SQL, go to this website, which is called Enterprise DB. And from this website, click on this icon or this icon based on the system you're using. I need to download it. If you get any issues, then you can reach out to me after the workshop. Okay. Now, without further delay, let's start the workshop. And first task I want you to do is that you need to download that data set, which I'm going to share it with you. Give me a second. Send. Where is it? Okay. All right, SQL batch 10. Okay, so you have access to this SQL batch 10, and I'm going to share this link with you so that you can go ahead and download it, everything from this drive. Okay. Okay, so I'm sharing this in the main group as well. Drive link. All the dataset is going to be uploaded in this drive. Everything, not even the dataset, file, practice, resources, resume, and everything is going to be uploaded in this drive. So make sure to save this link, and I'm also going to share in the chat box as well. Okay. So anyone has any doubts so far with anything, do let me know. You cannot use MySQL for this workshop because this is based on Postgres SQL, as I have said, and you will not be able to import files in MySQL. You may get issues while importing file. So I would request you to use Postgres. If you have not gone through the instructions guide, just go through the initial part of this recording. That is once it is available, download the Postgres SQL, and then you can continue this task. Okay. Meantime, you can attend the workshop. Okay. Okay, so once you download this file in this drive, you have something called day one. Okay, I have given access to everyone. So from the day one, just download all this file. Okay, I'm just going to download everything. I have already downloaded. So for you, you just need to download everything. Okay. So let me know once you have downloaded. So and once you have launched this application, which is called PG Admin 4 Tools. Okay, let me just go ahead and close it, and I will be launching it again. Okay. So you just need to search for PG Admin 4 tool. This is the tool, and just click on launch. And once you launch it, once you have downloaded the drive, do let me know. Okay, so that we will continue. But usually take just few seconds. Okay.
Nathan, what do you have to download first? Day one? Dataset.
Sorry. Yeah, the link from the drive day one, or everything from the day one. Create a folders and put everything of the day one. Okay.
Okay.
Guys, if you're not talking, just make sure you're on mute. Thank you. So once you have downloaded it, okay. So next, once you launch these applications, there is new update from Mac that's kind of irritating me. So okay. So you will see something like this. Okay. PG Admin 4 is the applications. Once you launch it, once this launched successfully, you will see something like this. Now, if you have, if you are getting something called runtime error, I have already covered this topic, how to kind of fix it. So go through the initial part of this workshop recording. Okay. And or you can just connect with me after this workshop. Okay. So now the way we create a database, see, first we need to create a database. Okay. Because at the moment, I don't have any database. I may have any database, but for different purpose. But you may have only one or two test database, like which is called Postgres, the dummy database. Now, how we will create a database? So you need to kind of extend this by clicking this icon. Okay. Now, once you extend it, you will see different server. So you only have one server, which is called Postgres SQL 17. Then you have something called database. Okay. If you extend it, you will see all the database. Now we will be creating our fresh database. Right click, create database. Okay. This is how it works. You need to give your name here. Okay, so I will give a name called SQL. You can use only underscore. So I would just go ahead and say SQL. What is happening? SQL B10. Okay, you can give any name. Now I'm going to give this name called DB. Okay, now let me first create a database for Amazon. So I would just say Amazon DB. Okay, so SQL batch 10 Amazon DB, you can give any name, whatever you want. Okay, so the user is going to be by default Postgres. We don't have to touch anything else. Simple name, and then you can click on this save. It is going to create the database. You can see it here. If you don't see it, right click and refresh. The database is created. Okay, next what you need to do is that we need to go inside this database. So for that, click on this database by left click, and you will see something called query tool. If you don't click, you will not see, that is going to be disabled, but you will only see it once you have this database in yellow colors. Okay, and then you will click on it. It's going to launch the query tool where we will be writing our queries. Okay, so this is where we will write all our queries, and just imagine that this database that you have, it is on the server, or it is on a machines or a cloud where the actual data is coming, right? So from the server you will write some queries, and this ID that we're using, which is called tools, that tools is going to get us the data based on our right. So whatever the right we have at the moment, we are the owner because the database is set up on our local machine. Okay, but when you will have this database set up on your server, so you will have a limited right? You will not have right for everything. So based on your user's ID and based on your right, you will be getting your data. Okay, for now, let's assume that, okay, we have the right to enter, we have every right to this database, and whatever we have in this database, all tables we will be able to access it here by writing queries. Okay, now that is fine. Let's go ahead and create the create first database. First table. Database is created. You can see it here. The second way to create database, I'm going to show you here. So let's first add a comments. To add a comment, you just need to press Control oblique or Control slash this sign. Okay, or you can simply press 2 dash like this. Okay, so this is how you add a comment. So whatever you enter here after this 2 dash, it is going to be ignored. Okay, now if you talk about, like, give me 1 second. Right, sorry for that. Okay, so what I was saying is that, let me just cancel it. Okay.
Nazit, I have
Yeah.
an issue here. Can you show that how to add the database again? I just missed that part completely. I was downloading the file that you gave.
No, what do you want me to show?
Adding the database, the SQL.
Okay,
Amazon
so let
DB
me
database.
just go ahead and show from the scratch. Okay, let me just close everything and let me launch call pgadmin 4, and let's wait for 2 seconds. So it usually takes some second, but due to some update, it's taking a little long time. Okay, so you can see it here. Now let's say I want to create a new database. So I just need to go to this databases. That means all the database, right click, create database, and here I can give a name. Let's say call SQL, whatever name you want to give. Okay, so say SQL B10, let's say Apple. Okay, DB, and I'll click on save. So you can see this database is created, and this one I have created earlier. Now, how do you go inside this database? You just need to select this database, click on this query tool. Okay, and you are inside this database. Now here we will be writing our queries. So first let's learn the commenting. So this is called single line commenting. So in SQL, whatever you write, it's kind of goes line by line. So this is, you can see it is showing that one line of code I have entered. Now this is a comment. So you need to put 2 dash or Control slash or Control oblique like this sign. That's going to automatically convert a line into a code or a code into a comment. Okay, so let's add a comment. So we will say day 1 of SQL B10. Okay, note 1. Now to save this note, I can simply go ahead and kind of click on the save icon. That's going to select the folders wherever I want to save it. Let's say I want to save it into something called this folders. And here I would just give a name, B10 note 1. Okay, day 1. Now you can give any names. Okay, you can see my node is saved. Next time I just need to click on save. That's it. Okay, as soon as I give a space, so you see it's adding the line. Okay, let's first create our tables. Okay, let's first create our table. Then we will import the data set. Now the data that I have downloaded. Okay, let's see the data before creating the table. Okay, so we'll go ahead and say current working directory. I have this. So this is what I have downloaded basically. Okay, all these different tables. Let's explore one by one table. We have customers data. So this is the Amazon project. So we have Amazon data set. Okay, so this is the Amazon data set, like the traditional Amazon data set. Now these are not the real, maybe they're the real customers, but these are some AI generated data, you can say. Okay. And I have designed this database based on how actually Amazon works, because I have a colleague at Amazon, and based on, I mean, with coordinating with her, so I have defined this data, database. Okay, I have not included all the tables, all the columns, but most of the things are pretty similar. Okay, how Amazon works. Okay, their kind of database works. Okay, so you see, we have a customer table which has a customer ID, customer name, and state. I don't have the address because of the security reason. I have not included it, but we have the necessary things that we need, right? We have states, we have customer name, we have customer ID. Okay, first thing, this is the customer table. So that means we need to create a table for all these columns, right? Then we have something called orders table, which has order ID. You can check here. We have order ID, order date, customer's ID, state, category, subcategory, product, price, quantity, sales, seller ID. So most of the things we have here. This is called fact table. This is our main table basically, which connect with other table. Okay, you see the product ID, we have it here. We do not have the product name here, but based on the product ID, we can connect with the product table and we can get the product name if we need. We have which customer bought it, that customer ID. Based on the customer's ID, we can get the name. We have the sale date as well, right? Sale amount, quantity, and the seller ID. Okay, that's fine. Let's see something else maybe. We have product table, which has the product information like product buying cost, price, cost, which is called purchasing cost. Okay, for that particular sellers. We have return table, which has just two columns, which is called order ID and the return ID. So if the order ID is in the return table, that means that order is being returned. Correct. We have total, I think 297 returns. Okay, and total we have 10,000 plus orders informations. We have sellers. So these are some the Amazon sellers name. You can see it here. These are real sellers, but the data are not real, as I said. Okay, I've created using some, I can say web scraping. All right, so this is what we need to do. Now we have 5 tables. Okay, if you see the tables, we have customers, orders, product, returns, sellers. Okay, as soon as the customer sign up with Amazon, the customer details captured in the customer table. As soon as the customer orders something, that is captured in the order table. As soon as customer, as soon as seller add a product, that is captured in the product table. As soon as the customer returns something, that is captured in the return table. And as soon as a seller is signed up, it is captured in the seller table. Okay, now the relations that we have, which is called seller with orders, customers with orders, product with orders, or return with orders. So everything is connected with the orders table. Okay, now we will design a traditional schema. Okay, which we will learn the schema designing maybe tomorrow. And today we are just going to import a line of code that is going to create our database within 1 second. Okay, so to do that, you just need to click on this folder icon. Okay, now you will lose this thing. So first, let's just copy everything and click on this folder icon. Click yes. Now inside this Amazon, I have added something called D1 Amazon schemas. You can see it here. Okay, you just need to import this query, or you can just copy paste it, or you can import it. So better you can import it, so everything get imported as it is. Okay, so let me hide everything now. So 90 line of code we have in this. Okay, so let me just optimize it. Okay, so these are comments you can see. Okay, these are some comments, and here I have a lot of things which we will talk about later on. But for now, what these queries that we have imported has it that it has a table called customers, it has a table called sellers, it has a table called product, it has a table called orders, it has a table called returns, and then some select queries. Okay, so we will design a database from scratch for the Apple database tomorrow, when we will learn the constraint and everything and the database design. But for now, I don't want you to confuse with the medium level topics. So let's first just run this and let's create the database, and we will cover those, and then we will be able to design this type of database by yourself completely. Okay, so once you import it, just click on this play icon to run this. Okay, now we have some issues with the product does not exist and there is some typo error. So let's kind of see what is the typo error we have. So I need to just click at the end. Then I need to click on this run icon. Okay, so just make sure you click at the end, run icon. You can see I got some success message. So we can verify it orders. Just select it. There's two ways to run this queries. One is like you select this command, you click this play icon, or you can see the shortcut, which is F5 for me and for you as well. Maybe something else. Order table, you can see the structure, right? You can check the customers table. You have 3 columns. You have the sales table. You have these columns. You have the product table. You have these columns. Okay. Now this is one way to see the table structure. You see at the moment we don't have a data because we have just created the tables. Next, what you need is that we want to visualize these tables, right? So for that, you can go to your database. See, right now I am inside SQL B10 Amazon DB. Okay, so from here you can verify where you are exactly. So I'm inside this. If you want to change it, you can change the new connections. Like in MySQL, you need to write something called use and database name. Like let's say SQL B10. Okay, you write this in MySQL to go inside that database, and then you can access the tables, right? But thing is that in Postgres, you don't have that options. Okay, in Postgres, you need to select it from here on the top. Okay, now let's go to in this database and let's see if we have the table. So we will go to this database by extending it here. You have a lot of options in Postgres. Okay, you don't need to get confused. So from here, you just need to find schemas. From schemas, you need to go to public, and from the public, you need to find tables. You can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5 tables at the moment, right? If you don't see it, right click and refresh it. Okay. Now we have 5 tables, and inside even the tables, you can see the columns as well. Okay. We will learn about constraint indexing and everything. So later on, but we have the tables right now. You can see it. Okay. So once that is done, let's start importing the data. Now, very, very important steps here. Okay. First of all, make sure that you have not, open that file, the orders file or other files in Excel, because if you have, there is a possibility that Excel automatically changes the data types to maybe some other format. So you may get error. So for that, what you need to do is that you need to re-download the data set and make sure that you have not opened that file in Excel. Okay, now I have opened the file. You see my auto save is disabled. So that means my file is not saved, but for you, maybe it is saved automatically. Okay, so you need to re-download it if in case you have opened it. The way you view this data is that you can open it in a notepad or text editor if you have Mac, or for notepad for Windows. Okay, so here you can see how the data looks like, which is comma separated values, data types. You can see it here. Okay, now let me just close it. Let's go ahead and import the data. Now, the most important thing is that you need to follow here some hierarchy while importing the data. Why? Because we have designed a traditional database that has some relation with each other. So the relation is that first we need to create a customer table. We need to see if you go to Amazon, you cannot order something without signing up with Amazon, right? So first you need to sign up with Amazon. Amazon will capture your information. That means your customer information is going to be inserted in the customer table. Then you can place order. Same way, you cannot create a return without buying something from Amazon, right? Because if you want to return it, Amazon will need your order ID, correct? So that means we need to follow some hierarchy here. We will learn about this hierarchy why tomorrow, but today we will, while importing the data, we'll need to follow some hierarchy. So first, let's import the data into product table, because we are assuming that first Amazon will add the product so that we can buy it, right? So the way you import it, very important again, right click on here, before that refresh once, and then right click, go to product table. So first it is mentioned as a product table. We will select product table, right click, import. Okay, one important step here is that you need to go to this option, make sure this header is enabled, because our data has a header. So this must be enabled. For Windows by default it is disabled. Okay, so make sure this header is enabled. And if it is disabled, make sure it is enabled. You don't have to touch anything else. Go to general, and here you just need to give your path, or you can just select this icon to select your file. Okay, so for us, I'm inside the right directory already, so I would just select the product. Okay, double click, it's selecting the product. Make sure header is enabled. Okay, and go to general, press OK. Now if you are importing to a specific column, not all the columns, you can go to columns and you can delete some columns here. Okay, but we are importing to all the columns, so for that I would not touch that. Click on OK. If it imports successfully, you will be getting this success message. You can see it here. Okay, so if it doesn't import successfully, you will be getting error message. Now we can verify it. Right click on this product, You can say this count rows, it's going to give you the total number of unit it has imported. If you want to view the product, you can go to view, edit, first 100 rows, we can check. It's going to write a code and it's going to give you the 100 rows of data. You can see it here, okay? This
Can
is
you
what,
import it again? Or like,
what?
what's the position? The product?
How to add
How
the
do you do?
product?
Yeah.
Okay, don't worry, we will be adding to rest of the table. So just pay attention here, okay? Now, everyone, I just want you to pay full attention here because I'm not going to repeat it. So then you can do it by yourself. Okay, once I show you how to import it, then you can do it, right? So we have imported to product. Next, it says import to customers. Okay, so we have created the customers table. You can see it here. So right click, refresh again. We have customers. Right click, go to import. Okay, and so here we will be selecting the customers. This is the customer table. Make sure this header is enabled, as I said. Nothing else. You don't have to select anything. Press OK. You see two process started, process completed. That means the data is imported successfully. How do you verify? Right click, count rows. You see we have 276 customers at the moment. Okay, that is fine. Next, it says that we need to import two sellers. Okay, so for that we will go ahead and say sellers, import, select the sellers, which is going to be this one. Options, enable. Okay. Okay, imported successful to sellers as well. Now let's go ahead and import to next, which is called orders, because once you import to orders, then we can import to returns. So right click, orders, import, go to orders, which is going to be this. Press OK. Now this is where you may have issues. If your data types get changed, you will have issues. Okay, then for that you need to delete everything, even the database, and then you need to start from scratch by downloading the new data set. Okay, orders is done. We can verify. We have 9,989 records, okay, in the orders table. Last, we are left with the returns. So let's go ahead and import to returns, and let's see the returns. It is imported successfully. So for me, all the 5 tables got imported successfully. I can verify it with just running these commands. Okay, so this one is going to give me all the customers informations. Okay, then I have this returns. That's going to give me all the returns informations. Okay, 2 columns. I have customers. That's going to give me the customers information. 3 columns. I have sellers, which is going to give me the sellers informations. I have product, which is going to give me the product informations. Okay, so let me know how many of you have imported successfully. You can raise your hand. Let me see how many of you have imported successfully. Okay, yeah, so it is only going to happen if you have not opened the file in Excel. If you have opened, if you have not saved the file, and if you have, then you just need to re-download it, and then you can simply follow the step again and again. Okay,
Could you go a bit slow,
sure. So how much you have followed?
until the importing the files? Yeah.
Yeah,
But,
so you just have,
like a
yeah,
bit fast. So.
okay, sure, thanks. So you just have to import if you have followed till until import. So you already know that your task is to import the file, right, one by one. In front of you, you have already the instructions like first import to products, which you have maybe done. If you have not done it, just do it. And then you need to import to customers, then you need to import sellers, then orders and returns. So if you have followed till import, you can just right click and import it, right? That's what we need to do. I will be a little slow from now. Okay. So anyone else?
Thanks.
Welcome. Yes, I want to see all the hands. So even if you are having any issues, you can just let me know, because this is important, right? So without importing, you cannot kind of continue, right? If you want, I can show it again. If you are having any issues, any check. Sorry, I got lost. So yeah, I was saying that, I just want to know how many of you have again installed, imported successfully. If you are having any challenges, any issues, so do let me know.
Hello.
Yes.
When I'm importing the file, it is saying utility file not found.
Okay, utility file not found. So for that, you may need to refresh it. Okay. If you can see this table, just try to refresh it. Okay.
Okay.
Right click and refresh it, and it should work fine. Anyone else? Any other challenge?
Hi, when I'm trying to import my file, it's just asking me to if you want to replace it again, then I'm saying yes. But when I refresh it and count rows, it is saying 0.
Okay, so that means it is not imported. So you can try it again. So right click, import, and select the data, make sure header is enabled and click on OK. So you will be getting at least 2 pop-up. One is called import success, one is called other was import fail. Let's say if I try to import it again in the customers, I have already imported, right? You will see I'll be getting error. Okay, so you see I'm just saying OK. Process started, process completed, process failed. Okay, why? Because you should be getting at least this two, right? So when you
No,
click
I'm
on view
getting the
process,
process completed and process started, but when I'm getting this
so
count
if the
rows,
process
it's
started,
saying
then the
0.
process, if the process is started, you will have two options. One is called process complete, one is called process fail. If you are getting process fail, that means there's something wrong. And if you are getting process completed, that means the import is done successfully. For that, right click and then check the count. Okay. All right. So
For
yeah.
me, it's saying like imported, but after that import fail. Two messages are getting popular.
Okay. Process started and then you are getting process fail, right?
Yeah.
Okay, no problem. So for the people who are having challenges, okay, I'm going to show it again from the scratch. Okay, so let's do it from the scratch, and I'm just going to delete this database completely, and just I want everyone of you to stop whatever you're doing right now, because this is going to last time I'm going to show you. Okay, then you just need to do it by yourself, or you need to connect after the workshop. Okay, so let me delete everything by doing force delete, and you see the database is gone. Okay,
I think your
now,
screen is not visible, Nasir.
oh sorry, let me just share it. Okay, so I have deleted the database by simply right clicking and delete force, okay, which is going to delete the database entirely. Now I'm going to show it again. So every one of you, I want you to pay full attention here, okay? So first task is that we will download the data, okay? So this is the data set. Let's go ahead and download the data set, okay? So first task is that I will download the data set, and it has started downloading. Meantime, I will just create the database, okay? To create database, once I'm here, right click, create database, and I would just give a name called Amazon DB, and I would just add call SQL B10 Amazon DB. Okay, one something like this. Everything remains same. You see it is created. Now I need to go inside it to create tables, right? So left click this query tool. Okay, so I'm inside this database, which is called, you can see it here. My user is Postgres, and I'm using server, which is Postgres 17. Now I would just go ahead and kind of see if my download is done. You can see my download is done successfully. So let me unzip it. Let me drag it into desktop. Okay, let me minimize it. Let me just open it again. Okay, let me delete this. So this is the new file I have downloaded. I'm not going to open any of the file. Okay, so let me close everything, all the Excel file now. Okay, close. Okay, so this time I am just going to import from this, which is this file. Okay, let me also close whatever is ongoing. Okay, so now what I will do is that I will also close this Windows as well. Okay, so this is from this file. I am going to import this query tool, which is this one, schemas. Okay, that's going to create the table for me. So for that, what I will do is that I will go to pgadmin4 tool and click on this folder icon, launch this. Okay, go to the last, click at the end, click on this play icon. It's going to create the table. It's done within milliseconds. We can go to schemas and make sure that I am inside this database, which is called SQL B10 Amazon B1. You can see it here, DB1 public. Then I have this, which is called schemas public, and I need to go to this tables. Okay, this public will come inside this schemas, and I see the table. If I don't see it, I'll refresh only for once. I see the table now. Now it says first we need to import to customers. Okay, I have not touched the data set. I have just downloaded it. So import, make sure this option header is enabled. Go to general, go to
I
here, and
think
we need
we
to
need
find.
to import Product. Yeah.
Okay, so if it is product, I will select the product. Yeah, it's a product. Thanks. So I would just right click, import, and select the product, which is going to be this one. Make sure header is enabled. Okay, everything is fine. See, as soon as imported, you get two options. One is called process started, process completed. So if you are having process started, and you will be getting either process completed or process failed. If I try it again, this time I will be getting process failed because the data already exists. You see, now I'm getting process fail. You can click on this and you'll be able to read the error message. It says duplicates key. Why? Because it is already imported those product, right? Now it's going to be duplicate or already exist. You can see, right? So this is fine. We have imported two products. Next, we will import two customers. Okay. So right click, left click, import, select customers. That's going to be this one. Make sure header is enabled. Yes, press OK. Process started, process completed. So customer is done. Next, same step you can follow. Okay. Then we need sellers. So right click, import, select sellers. So this one, seller done. And next we need the orders as per our hierarchy, which is order. So right click, import orders. Okay. Order is done. Okay. Next we need, which is called returns. So right click, import, select returns. Okay. Return is done. Okay. So you have seen how we have imported again from scratch. Okay. So that means if it is working on my computer, it will definitely work in your computer. If until unless you have some, maybe properties or some settings issues. Okay. If you have any, then we will check that after workshop. You need to connect with me after the workshop. Okay. Now for the people who imported successfully, I just want to say, see the hands one more time so that we can continue. Okay. What about the rest of the people? Okay. Perfect. So I think I can see a lot of hands. Okay. Still, if you're having any challenges, so you can connect with me after the workshop. Now, I would just request you to kind of, continue with me because otherwise you will not be able to kind of follow me, right? So let's continue. And if you still have any challenges, you just need to follow the video. And if you still that doesn't fix, then you can maybe connect with me. Okay. So we will kind of work in a one-on-one call and to fix your problem. Okay. So let's now see some problems that we will solve. Okay, so first let's go to pgadmin 4 again and let's kind of close this. Don't save it because it's going to maybe make some changes. So let's close it and we will open a new query tool and we will save this query tool as a day 1. So I hope you remember I have created a one query tool earlier. I can just load that one. So that already has the node 1 or I can just write it again. Okay, so I can just go ahead and say my current working directory. So let's see. Maybe SQL workshop B10 Amazon. Okay, I have it here. Okay. Okay, or you can just write it again and you can save it somewhere. Okay. Now SQL doesn't auto save. If you cancel this application, it's going to kind of delete everything. So you need to save it manually in between. Okay. Now let's see all the tables one by one, whatever we have in the table. So you need to make sure that you are inside the right database, which is this, and you need to go in the right database to see the tables. Okay. So here you can just go ahead and say schemas. And in the schemas, you have tables. So I can check whatever I have in the tables one, which is called customers. Okay. So let's do some EDA, which is called exploratory data analysis. Like let's explore the data set in SQL. Okay, let's see how many customers we have. So you can go ahead and say select star from customers. Okay, now we will talk about what is this stars. Okay. If you just select it, I will be using my shortcut most of the time, but you can use either this play icon or your shortcut. Okay. Now I will just click on save to save this file. Now I want to show you some settings, which is going to be very, very helpful for you in this workshop. So for that, we will need to go to pgadmin tool and settings. Okay. So first you can, that's optional. I changed this thing to darker version. So that's good for eyes because if you will be spending 5 hours in the light colors, it's going to basically, it's not going to be good for your eyes. So first let's check the themes. Okay. So for the themes, you just need to go to something called miscellaneous. And from here, you can see themes. I have dark and light. Okay. So you can select, you are maybe on the light. If you have just installed it, change it to dark. That's the first settings. Second, we have something called binary path. So by default, this will be edit your path. If you're having issues, this could be something regarding this. So for that, you can check in ChatGPT how to add my binary path here. Okay. Now I will be helping you maybe after the workshop if you still have this issue. Then next what you have is the query tool. Okay. So this is our last task. So in the query tool, you have something called auto completions. Make sure this both are enabled so that you will be getting auto suggestions without entering the full table name. It is going to give you suggestion based on what you have in the database. So make sure this to enable. And next, one more last shortcut, which is going to be this keyboard shortcut. In the keyboard shortcut, you need to go to something called execute query. Okay, query execute query, which is this one. So for me, I have used this. I have kind of configured it as shift and enter. You can change it however you feel comfortable. So I usually prefer shift and enter for all the executions in Postgres. Okay, shift enter. You can select control enter. You can select command enter. Okay, whatever you want. Click on save. Once it is saved, everything is going to reload and you will be back on this page, or you need to create a new query tool again, but you will have the darker settings. Okay. Now to make it like zoom, you can just say control plus control minus. Okay. So we may be using something like this. So this is our first table. Every table start ending with S. Okay. So to distinguish with columns, so for the columns, it will be having like customer ID, customer name, but not S. But table name, I have defined it as a S. So it is easy for us to querying while we are fetching the data. Okay, so you can see I'm saying select star from this customer. So the way you write queries in SQL is that this select and this from, these are SQL properties. Okay, when we talk about SQL properties, that means the SQL has some by default keyword which you need to use. Okay. So we write something like this, select from, and we write the table name here. Okay, very simple. You need to learn it if you are very new to SQL. Okay, same way with all the RDBMS. Now when you talk about star, this star means in this table I have so many columns, right? I'm saying star. That means here basically between this select and between this from, you put your column name. Okay. So if you don't have any specific column, you want to see every columns, then you will just say star. Then all the columns from that specific table, you will see it here. Okay, that is how you select all the columns. Star, we call it everything. Okay, I usually call it star means I read it this way. When I'm entering a star, I don't say select a star from customers. Some people does, but I read it this way. Select everything, which is called everything, like everything. Okay, from customer. That means I'm selecting every column from customer. See, we can filter this result to a specific limit rows. 5 row record, 10 record, only by name Aman, only by state Uttarakhand, okay, only by customer ID. We will learn that. But for now, we have just learned how to select everything from a table. Now let me show you, if you only want to see specific column, you need to define this column name. As I said, between the selecting from, you put your column name that you want to see in your result. So here we can say I want to see just customer name. The spelling must be correct. See, as soon as I enter customer, I am getting the suggestion. Why? Because I have enabled those two settings which I have informed you. Customer name, and you can just use your arrows up and down and then enter. You cannot use tab. Up and down and enter. Okay. So that is fine. And I would just select the state. Okay. So the way I write queries is that the first column, then comma, then second column. You can even write it in the same column, but thing is that when you kind of want to debug it, it's going to be very, very difficult. So best practice is that to write first column, give a comma and just press enter. It is going to give this indentations automatically, and you will write the second column name. So if you miss a comma, it is going to be very easy for you to debug it. Okay. You see, I'm not getting the second column because I missed a comma here. So I can simply see it. Otherwise, I need to read it from left to right. Okay. So this is how it is going to save a lot of your time, because most of the time you will do mistake. I do mistakes. Everyone does mistake, right? We're not perfect, right? So the way we play smart is that writing the queries properly. Okay. Clearly writing the queries can basically, save you a lot of time. Okay. So you have seen how to select a specific column, how to select two columns. Okay. That is fine. Now you already have seen how to check the count of total customers. If I want to see the total customers, I can use this, which is called select everything and run it. And now see, I have the count, which is by default here 276. What do you have really large data? you can use something like this. You just need to use something called count and star. Okay. So it's going to give you the total data that we have, which is called 276. Okay. So we have some aggregation functions, which is 5. We have count. We have then sum. We have min. We have max, and we have ABG, which kind of does average. Okay. These are 5 aggregation functions we have in SQL. Only this 5. So only this 5 you need to know. Short form. Okay. So that is fine. Now we have seen the customer table. Let's see our next table, which is going to be maybe the product table. So say select everything from products. Okay. This semicolon is optional. This is not mandatory, but I give this semicolon to distinguish each query, which is a best practice. Okay. Because if I am selecting this two, I will not be getting error. The last query is going to be executed. But if I miss something, I will be getting error. Okay. So this column is best practice, I would say. You see, we have the product table. So we can say that we have product ID. Excuse me. So we can say we have product ID, we have product name, we have price and COGS, which is cost of good, that buying cost of that product. Okay. See, sometime by exploring 2 or 3 columns, you will need to understand what this columns is actually, telling you. Correct. So it's not just writing the queries, you need to understand the columns. Once you understand the columns, even in interview are also going to give you the columns and few data. So you need to first, before jumping into writing query to solve the problem, you can ask multiple questions about the columns and data types and to understand, right? Once you understand the data, the 90% problem is solved. Okay, most of the time, even with me as also, I have noticed I kind of, initially I used to hurry up, writing the problems to save my time. But I end up getting, typos or getting errors because I did not, spend that much time to understand the data set. So what I have realized in this couple of years is that first you need to understand the data, understand the columns, and then you can write your queries, because then you can structure your queries, you can understand the queries. Okay, so we have product tables. Let's see next table that we have, which is called returns. So if you have multiple columns, you can just select one columns and like this using shortcut. I'm getting returns 297 I have at the moment. So let's see the sellers table. So sellers, okay. So we have 10 sellers at the moment. Okay. Let's see the orders table. Select everything from orders.
Can I ask that why are you selecting before and after on the part?
No, it's not mandatory, because when I use the, kind of when I write it, and if I want to select like this way, it will take like some more time. Okay. I need to kind of click and hold or shift and kind of go this way. So what I do is that I kind of click at the end, and if I just press shift and up arrow, so it goes till here. I just need to cancel one to kind of save my time, and then I kind of run it using shortcut. Okay. So you can do it this way. You can select it manually by your mouse, or you can just use like this way, which will take a little more extra time. But I use this way so that I know it will go one, kind of to the left. So I would just use a right arrow to cancel it, and then I run it, because you can select from here to here, you can select from here to here, you will be getting the same output. But if you select this way, you will be getting error. I mean, it's not now because you will be getting error. Okay.
Sure,
So,
thanks.
okay. All right. So now let's see some easy level problems that we'll be solving. Okay. So I have a PPT which has some problems, basics problems, which we will solve now. Okay. Now let's first see some of the syntax that you have seen right now. So you have seen now, which is called, you have seen now basic select statement, right? Where we use the stars. So to select all the columns, you have seen how to select specific columns, right? You have seen the from clause. In the from clause, we put our table name here, right? Now we will see where clause in a while to filter the data. With where clause, you can use this are called comparison operators, greater than, less than, you already know. In SQL, we use something called not equals. Okay, this is tell not equal. We have equals, we have between, or, and. So we'll be using all of this. We also use something called in. Okay, in and not in. We have order by, we will see now. We have limit clause, we will see. We have in, which I have mentioned here. Not exist, we'll see in the futures. Okay, so now the way you write your query, as I said, that you need to say select, then you need to say from. Okay, and here you give the table name, here you give the column name, right? You get your answer. Okay, So let's first of all see some problem statement for Amazon. We're working for Amazon data sets. So these are some problem statement I have at the moment. So let's kind of go ahead and kind of see some problem statement. So let me copy all this problem, and I am also going to paste it in the chat box. So you can solve it by yourself if you know the basics. And otherwise I'm going to add it here. So the way you add multi-line comments is that this slash star. Okay, whatever you write after this, it is going to be multi-line. Okay, so I can write it till here, and the way I close it, the multi-line is that star slash. Okay, simple. Now, all these are my multi-line. Okay, I can write anything is going to be ignored by SQL. You can see it is in green colors. Okay, or you can add one line like this dash 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 in every sentence. Okay, so let's close this, all those things. Let's make it little big. Okay, let me see. Let me know if you can kind of see it in this size. Okay, otherwise I will increase this size. Okay.
Nazir, I have a doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I have seen people writing count of 1 in some of the instances. So can you explain like what does that exactly does?
Is it top one you're saying?
No, count of 1
Okay,
instead of
count of one.
of
Yeah,
star.
yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to explain that. Don't worry. Yeah, we'll explain that because that's part of count functions. Okay.
Okay.
Now we'll be using Excel a lot of times, okay, to make you understand the concept, because the most important for you to understand the concept, right? So because we understand through Excel much better, right? So Excel and SQL is like kind of, you can say almost they're similar. In SQL, you just write queries. In Excel, the logic is similar. In Excel, you just have the options to select functions. Okay. So we say, what is the total revenue generated? The first easy level question. Okay. Oops. What is the total revenue generated? If you want to solve the question number 1, okay, we can just copy this question from here and put it here, and we'll be taking a break at 9:30. Okay. So what is the total revenue generated? So for that, if you go to Excel, let's go to Excel and try to see the orders table, because obviously revenue we will be getting from the orders table, right? Now, let me just make it maximum full screen. Okay, let me just make it little bold. Okay. So if we want to know what is the total revenue generated, this, we have a sales column. From the first to the last, I need to do a sum, right? So that is kind of, I think it shows 22 millions, maybe something like that. Okay, we can use simple functions on this column. I'm sure every one of you already know it. So you just say equals and sum, and you select the first column, shift to down, shift page down, and you see you get this revenue, which is 2.2 million, something like that. Okay. So I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 2.2 millions. Okay. This is the revenue we have. The function is very simple. I have used this column. In this column, I have used what? A sum function, which is outside of this column. Correct? Very important. So same way, we can use the same approach in SQL as well. Now you know how to select one column. Okay. Now here we need the total revenue. See, sometimes the question will not be very familiar where you understand. Okay. But you need to read the question 2 or 3 times, then you will understand, then you will need to build your logic. See, it is saying total revenue. So that means obviously we have a sales table, which is an order table. So that has different columns that has a quantity, nothing to do with the quantity, because it did not ask for the total quantity sold. It is asking for the total sale, that is the revenue, right? If you sum it, it's the revenue. If you have a company, you have done 3 sales, so total sale is going to be a total revenue, right? So this is where you will build your logic. That means to solve this problem, we need only one column, which is this column, right? We don't need other columns. So first we can say select everything from orders to see the table, then we can identify which are the column we need to solve this problem. Okay. So every time before solving any problems, I want to see the table, then I can select the column that I need to solve this problem. So I need this column because this column has what I'm looking for, right? So I can go ahead and say that next line. I usually put this like this way. You can put this here as well, but I usually put this way, and this is the best practice. Okay. So we need one column. So I would just write it here called sale. Well, column name is sale. So we have the columns with 10,000 records. You can see, right? That's telling me that records, but I need the total revenue. So I can use the aggregation function, something called sum. Okay. Sum of sales. If I just run it, I get, which is 2.2 million, the same results. You can see it here. We get a lot of decimal portions. I'll be, kind of showing you how you to deal with this decimals using a round of functions later on. Okay. So sum, sale, and you get the answer. Very simple, same as Excel we have seen, right? In Excel, you just select a range. But in SQL, you don't select the range. Even if in Excel, I can solve it without selecting the range. For that, I just need to convert this data into a table. Now, if you just select this data and press Control T to convert this data in a table, now I can simply go ahead and just do this sum without selecting the range. So I would just sum of the table. So I would just need to check what is my table name. So if I just click here, I see the table name as table 1. I can just name it called maybe orders. Okay. Now you'll be learning a lot of Excel concept as well, which is kind of great. So I would just need to say sum, and I would just need to enter my table name that's called orders. You can see by default Excel is showing the table name orders. And I just need to use this square bracket. I can select my column, sale, square bracket, close. Okay, you see I'm getting the total sales without selecting the range, but my data has to convert into tables. Okay, so same way in SQL, we are doing the same thing. Outside this sale column, we are just putting the sum. Okay, and this one, you're getting the result. So the way to show this result is that you can add an alias, something called S. Okay, so S, and you can say that what you want is the total sale. So this column is going to be given a nice name in this result, not in the actual column. Okay, you see now it's a total sale. You cannot use a space here, so you can use underscore here. Okay, so nice way to print this results, which is our first problem. Okay, now we can take a screenshot including the projects. Okay, again, I'm just joking because it's a very easy question. So you'll be including the questions where you have actually used some analysis technique and advanced complex SQL queries, right? Let's see how many products we have. Okay, I have a challenge for you guys. You need to solve this from the order table, not by looking the product table. Can anyone tell me how can you get this? How many product do we have? Let's see the table first. Before solving the problem, let's see the table. Yeah.
Order ID.
We can count by the product ID.
Okay. So we think that it's going to give us the result?
Yeah.
Okay, because we have 10,000 sales, and there could be customers like you and me. We both bought iPhone 16. So that means it's going to be like duplicates, right?
I think it should be
With the
count
product
of
ID.
order ID.
Yeah,
Product ID can be
ID
same.
would be.
Order ID can't be the same.
Because see, order ID is different, fine. We don't want to see how many orders we have done. Okay. The question is how many product we have in sales table, like how many product got actually sold, how many product we sold in the sales table, obviously in the sales table. So how many product we have sold, kind of this type of question you can see.
Nazir, select count and category from orders.
Yeah, correct. That's correct. So I have not explained that. Okay. So I just wanted to check like,
Is it correct?
if you can think. So we need to use, first of all of you are correct. I mean, almost correct that we need to use this product ID. So that's kind of show that you're kind of, you're pretty enough like, thinking right away in the right direction. So we don't have any other information about the product. Only what you can see is the product ID. So that means from this table, I only need one column that's called product ID. Correct. So I would go ahead and select the product ID and I can just select it, run it. I see it, right? The problem is that I see a lot of duplicates. So they are not duplicates. It's like the same. There are different orders. So like same customer, maybe somebody bought this, somebody bought again, somebody else bought the same product. So these are like transactions, right? Now, if I need the the product, like how many product we have sold, and these are from the sales table. So I would just use something called distinct. Okay. So the way I remember is called distinct. So that by this you will remember that, okay, distinct, that means see by the name you already know, it's going to eliminate the duplicates. It's only going to consider one product once. Okay. So one product ID once, that means now we will be able to see how many product we got, sold. Okay. Now we see that it's 1849. We see only one product once. Earlier it was 10,000 because every orders has a product ID. So it was included here. When you use a distinct, it's going to not include the second, third, or more than one, the times the product ID. Every product once. Okay, that's called distinct. You need to write this distinct before the column name. Now, if you want to count it, you can just click outside, press shift and this parenthesis, and just go outside and write count. Okay. So select it, run it, see 1849. Okay. So this is how we have solved the question number 2. Now you'll be learning a lot of shortcut as well. So That's going to be kind of a good, so which you can kind of use to save your time. Let's see the question number 3. So it says find out the top 5 order details by sales amount. Okay, so now I hope you can relate this question. So let's say you are working for a company, maybe Blinkit, and they want to know the top 5 orders by the sales amount. Obviously, the high ticket, product, high ticket orders, not the product, but orders. So for this, to solve this problem in Excel, we will first need to kind of sort the data by this column, which is called sales, right? I think it is already sorted by default, but we just need to click this and sort this data. So by default, I have converted this into a table. So I have this filter icon. If I don't have it, then I would just need to apply the filter, and then I can click here and I can click on sort in descending. Descending means large to small. We have columns, but big number to small number. If I do ascending, you can see small to large, right? So this is called sort, right? We're doing sorting here. So same thing we will do. This 5 orders are going to be the top 5, isn't it? So these 5 are going to be top 5 orders. You can see it here. Okay. So how do you select it in SQL? So for that, you'll be learning 2 concepts here. One is called sorting, which you call order by. Okay. One is called limit. If you're using Oracle, so you use something called top. Okay. I'm also going to show you something called offset. So kind of you will learn one of the interview problems which we can solve by this offset, which is called get the third highest salary, okay, from employees. So this problem we can solve after learning this offset and limit. Okay, so all these things we will be learning in this. So find out the top 5 orders details by sales amount. So for that, we can first see the table, then we will build our logics. So we see everything right now, right? So all the columns are there. Let's say I don't want to see all the columns because for me, I just want few columns, maybe something like order ID. I need maybe the product ID. Okay, the spelling has to be correct. Okay, if you give any incorrect spelling, that's not going to work. So it has to be, spelling has to be correct. Okay. So I always keep the small letter, the small letter while defining this table. So it is the best practice to keep this column name small letter. Okay, everything small letter. So we have, and because this capital letter, you see by default, whenever I'm writing queries, by default I'm following some patterns. Okay, so you need to follow the same pattern. One is whenever you write any SQL keyword, so that keyword must be in capital. It's not mandatory, but it is easy to distinguish because this is SQL keyword, this is SQL keyword, this is SQL keyword. I'm taking some extra time pressing shift and then typing it because it is going to be really easy to debug, and also it is kind of good to show showcase your kind of skills because it's going to save a lot of time. Okay, so that's the best way because these are the column name I'm putting in lowercase. This is the SQL keyword, so I'm putting this in the capital. Okay, we need these 2 columns, and maybe I would need the last column, which is called sale. Okay, so these are the 3 columns I need. Okay, we can also include the order date. So I have order date. Now, if you have something like this while defining the database, if you have like order and date, 2 things you need to mention, use underscore. Okay, don't make it like more than order date time, like 3 underscore, just keep it to 2 underscore. If you have something called time, so you can simply say order time. Okay, because it's going to be easy for you to query the data. So that's fine. You have these 4 columns. Now we need this top 5 orders. So that means same as like SQL, same as like Excel, we did order by this column, right, in Excel. So here we can do order by this columns. I mean, in SQL we call order by, in Excel we call sort. Okay, so that means my statement is not ending here. So here after the from, I will write something called order by. Okay, so order by has 2 options. One is called ascending, one is called descending. Now after the order by, you need to give a column name. So here you have different columns. You can do an order by the order date. That's going to show you the earliest possible date, like maybe 2013, 14, 15, whatever the earliest date I have from the database. And we can do an order by descending. So that's going to show the latest order date, recent orders. Okay, both ways. If I do order by this maybe product ID or maybe order ID, this way it's going to give me the ordering based on the order ID. Okay, so order by sales, we want and we want descending. So for descending, you don't have to write completely. You just need to write DESC. Same for all the RDBMS. Okay. So here my statement ends. Now I can execute it, and you see this is now ordered descending. Okay. By default, SQL does some ordering. So again, you just need to ensure that you are using this. Otherwise, you may kind of miss something. You may see, but maybe you miss something. Okay. So these fives are the top 5. If I want to see the bottom 5, I would just need to delete this descending. I can say order by the column name. I don't have to include ascending. By default, SQL does it ascending. See, this is the lowest, the 40%, right? Or you can write ASC, okay, which is the short form of ascending. You'll be getting the same output, okay? Now we wanted to find out the descending, so let's go back to the descending. Okay, now we only need 5, right? In the results, we want to eliminate the rest of the things. Only we want to keep 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so for that, you can just write something called limit. And here you can just close this, and limit, you can just 5. So limit is limiting the rows in the result up to the numbers that you mentioned here. Okay, very simple. Limit 5. So that means in results you may get like up to 10,000, right? You see, it is kind of showing so many, kind of, it is showing up to 10,000. So if I just give a limit, it will be faster. Okay, you see, it took like maybe less than, maybe 1 millisecond. Okay, so that's fine. You can see how you use limit, correct? So without limit, you get everything. And with limit, you get only 5 rows in the result. See, whenever you execute any queries in SQL, it's create a table. The output that you see, it's a table itself. Even it's a 1 row table, 1 row, 1 column table, it's a multi-row tables. It's a table at then. I can just extract, download it, and it's going to be a table in my Excel. Okay, so the results are table itself. Okay, so now next, what do you need? We have seen that's order by ascending and descending, both options. You have seen limit. Let's see what is offset. Okay. So offset says from this limit, you can exclude 1 or 2 or 3. Okay. Let's say the limit is going to select this 5, right? After this order by, I would select this 5, right? But let's say I want to exclude this first one. Okay. I want to exclude this first one. So by default, this is going to be my first, then second, then third, then fourth, and 5. So for that, you just need, before this limit, you just need to add something called offset. Okay, offset. So offset 1. If you say offset 1, just remember this order ID. 212 is going to be ignored from the result. And once this is ignored, whatever is left out, it's going to select the 5. Okay, so we can go ahead and run it. You can see 212 is ignored, but it's selected the 5. Even if you don't give this limit, still you see 212, the first row is excluded. If you want first 5 rows to be excluded, it's going to exclude till here. You will see from 1181. Okay, let's see. You can see. Okay, so you can see it from 1181. So this is how it is working. Now, what I wanted to show you is that if you have a data, which is a salary, let's say this is the salary of the employees. Okay, you want to find out the third highest salary. So that means this is going to be the third highest salary, isn't it? So what I need to do is that I need to exclude 2 rows. Correct? So in offset, I can go ahead and say that I need the third highest salary. See, remember it's something like this, which is called third highest salary. So third highest salary I need. So that means I need to exclude how many? Not 3. I need to exclude only 2, because so that I can print the third highest salary or third highest sale amount. Okay. Now we call it something called nth highest salary. So we can call it nth highest salary. Okay. Now, n could be like 27th. Okay. The way I remember it is that this way. N minus 1. If I need the nth highest salary, whatever the n value, I would just minus 1, and then I would just put that in offset. Okay, so I can go ahead and see if I need third highest salary, I would just put third, because I need third highest salary. N is 3 here. I would just n minus 1. That means n is 3. I need third highest salary. So I would just go ahead and say 3. Okay, and minus 1. And I would just limit 1. Okay, so that I would be getting this first 2 is going to be ignored, and I would be getting everything, but I am saying limit 1. So I would only get this one, which is called 71101399. Okay, so let's kind of execute it. Okay, you can see it here. Okay. Now, this is kind of fine. This is one way of solving this problem. We will learn window functions in the futures. In the third day, maybe tomorrow. So that's where this concept is going to be more clear. This is one approach. It has also a different approach. Okay. So we will see that approach in the future. So we have already seen how to use order by, how to use limit, how to use offset. Okay, any doubt here?
Yes, I want to ask that we can write n minus 1, or here we will write only 3. Where you have
If you
written
write,
3 minus.
see, if you write 3, it's going to ignore 3 rows. So you are going to get 4th highest, not 3rd highest, right?
No, so we will write n minus 1 or 3 minus 1 only.
See, you cannot write n minus 1. That's just a logic. That's the way you remember it. N doesn't know SQL what this n means, right? It's not like Python that you can define a variable call kind of n equals kind of 3, and you will write n here, right? So it's not Python. SQL doesn't know this ends, so you'll be getting error if you write something like this. Okay, you see, n column does not exist. Offset only takes values which doesn't exist. You can see it here, right? Okay, so this way only I'm just writing just for you to understand it, so that you can remember it this way. But it's on you. If you need 3rd highest, you just say 2. If you need 27th highest, you can just say 27 minus 1. That means 26, right?
Right here, 4th highest, then means 4 minus 1, right?
Yeah, 4 minus 1, obviously, because you would want to exclude the 3. Then this is the fourth highest, right?
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So that was the question number. I think the question number what? That was this question number. Okay. Let's see now something else. Okay. What is the average order value? So this is very simple. You just need to use the average functions. I would just say question number 4. So what is the average order value? So you just need to say select everything from orders. You first need to see the table, right, before solving any problem. So you just need to do average on this column, which is called sale. Same way you have done sum. We just need to do an average. So we can just use the same, which is this column, and we will be using, instead of sum, you just need to average and change it to total sale, average sale. Okay. So average function is going to do the average. Now you can do it manually as well to verify it. The way you can do it manually, let's see, average is what? Sum divided by the count, right? So you can say sum and divided by count of star or count of 1 as well you can use, but we will see 1 later on. For now, let's say count of stars. Okay, 2 to 9. So that means you see the average is what? The total sale divided by the number of sale, right? 2 to 9, 86. That's the average. Now let's see something called where functions, where we will do some filtrations from our result. Okay, so that's where this comes into the picture, which is called something like this. What is the total sale for Goa? Okay, so we have the data set. It's an Indian data set for Amazon. Now we have some state which is called Goa here. You can see some sales are from Goa, some sales are from different states. If you want to see the total sale for Goa, you can just do a sum here. But thing is that you want to see the sale for Goa, right? So first you will filter the state to Goa, and then you're going to do a sum here, right? On these columns. So 79,000 is the total sale, correct? So first we need to filter Goa, all the data, then we can do a sum, right? The same logic we will be applying in SQL. So first, let's go ahead and kind of say select everything from orders. To see the table first, then we can build our logic. Now, if you see the table, we have all the different columns. Okay, we have a column called state. So that means based on the state, I can filter the data, which I have did in Excel. Okay, so whenever you're solving any problems, you can just recall this. That imagine you have the data in Excel. How do you think that what approach you will follow? So if you have this data, you will follow filter the data by state equals Goa, and then you will just have only the Goa data, and then you will do a sum here, right? Now you know how to do a sum. Select the column outside, you put sum, right? So same way, first we need to here filter the data based on Goa. So to select everything, select everything, and you get the data. Now to filter here in SQL, you don't have like this fancy options like Excel, go to columns and write select Goa. Okay, here everything that you do, you write queries, you write code. Okay, so you say here where. Now this is your third SQL, third or fifth SQL word. So you have select, you have from, you have where, you have learn limit, you have learn offset. So you can just count maybe 6, or you have learn order by descending. Okay, so these are the SQL keyword that you can see. As soon as you write more queries, you will be familiar of each of these keywords. So this where function takes column name, actual column name. The reason I'm saying actual column name, that means that column must exist in the table. Okay, in this table, the column must exist. Now in this where it takes a column name, then you can use the logical and the comparison operators, something like this. Okay, so you can use all this sign, greater than, less than. If you want to compare your column with some values, if you want to compare this between or, and all those operator you can use in where conditions, okay, to filter the data based on some logical or some comparison values. Okay, so let me show you. Let's say we want the total sale, okay, everything, but only for Goa. So that means I first need to filter. See, I have not done sale sum here. I'm just selecting the data. So first task would be filtering the data based on the Goa, right? So we have a column called state. I would say equals, because I'm comparing with the text. So I can use equals. Now I can just go ahead and say one important thing is that you need to put the spelling in the same way. So we have Goa. So I would say Goa. Okay. Now if I run it, I will be getting error. Why? I will tell you. You see, Goa does not exist. It couldn't find state as something like this. Why? Because this is what we have is a text data. Okay. This is a text data. This Goa is itself, Goa is not a column. The column is a state. The column name you can put without the quotes, but if you are comparing with the number, you don't have to put inside the quotes. But if you're comparing with the state must be inside single quotes. Okay, in Python, you can use double quotes for varchar or for text. Okay, in here, you can use double quote, single quotes only. Okay, these are a string, which is a text. So now if I just execute it, I will have the result. Okay, if I enter this Goa in capital, I will not have the result because that doesn't exist. So this is a case sensitive. So make sure that you put the correct spelling. You see, now I have like 326 sale. So that means now I can do a sum, right? I can do a sum on this column, which is the here. So for that, I would just say sale column, what I need, right? I can just run it. Oops. And I can just do sum here, right? Outside sum. This is my total sale for Goa, correct? So we have seen how to get total sale for a specific state, which is called Goa. Now in Goa, instead of Goa, you can put any other state, like say Assam. If I have the data, you can say Punjab. The data must exist, right? For Punjab, you can see. If I'm using something called maybe Delhi, and if I don't have the data, I may get error. See, I'm getting null because there is no Delhi. The Delhi sales is not available. Maybe something called Delhi NCR, I'm not sure, but Delhi doesn't exist. Okay. So that is fine. If you want to see the distinct state, so you already know how to see, right? All state that we want to see. So we can go ahead and just write something like this. Select distinct state. It is a small letter from orders, right? So we can see all the distinct states. 29, one state is showing as a null. That means some customer missed the state name. Okay, so now if you want to filter it out, you can simply say where, and you can say state. Okay, is not null. Now this is not null is the way to filter out. Okay, you cannot say state is Delhi because you're comparing with the text. But for null, you need to say is null or is not null. Is null means we can say state is null, then I would have state is null. Is not null means that means you can say state is not null. Okay, give me a second. Okay. Sorry, I'm back. All right, so you have seen that if in case you are dealing with null, so you have is null or is not null. Okay, let's see. We say is null and we say is not null. So initially you may get confused with this. If you're comparing with the state, you can say that it is Delhi. So you will be getting error because this Delhi is a text. You're comparing this state with a value, which is a text. But for null, we don't know. See, when we talk about null, we do not know. It's a missing, it's a undefined values. It could be numbers, it could be a text. So we do not know if it's a we need to use a quotes or you need to use something, right? So null is not defined. So that's the reason we are saying is null. So that's the reason there's a special the word that was introduced that's called is. Okay. because we do not know the data types. In SQL, whatever you do, the data types plays very, very important role. Okay. If you want to see all the cells where the state is not defined, we can say everything. We see all the cells, the state's names were not given. I mean, I am saying state not null. I would just say need to say is null. You see only one cell. So for one cell, we don't have the state name. Maybe customer missed it. Okay. So that is fine. Now let's get back to the topic. You have seen all the cells that is from Delhi or Goa. Now let's see our next question, which is we are going to find the cell from multiple state. Okay. Let me add a question here. Okay. Let's see everything from the table. Let's say we want to see all the cells that's from maybe states called Bihar, Haryana, and maybe Goa. Okay. It says write SQL query to get all the cells from Assam, Bihar, and Haryana. Okay. We want to see all the cells from all these three states. Now, there is two things we call AND and we call OR. These are logical operators. Okay. Earlier you have seen comparison operator where you compare with equals, or you can say greater than, less than. Okay. Now we will be using something called logical operators. So first of all, we need to understand, write a SQL query to get all the cells from Assam, Bihar, and Haryana. So that means we need the cells from these three states, not total, but everything like order information, you can say. So we will say select everything from orders. That's give you everything, right? Let's organize it. Now we have the state column. Okay, so I can go ahead and say where, and I would say where state, and I would need to use equals. So I can say equals Assam, correct spelling. I would get everything from Assam. You see, I'm getting. Now I need one more statement. Okay, so I can put it. I usually put this way. Now I need one more statement, so I can go ahead and say and I can go ahead and say and the second state. This is the right way to put. You need to keep the column name and your second condition. So I would say Goa. Now if I run it, I will be getting error. Okay. So I have one more state. So I would say and. Anyone can tell me why we're getting error here? Now, again, this is an interview question. Okay, so here, why we cannot use and. Now, people usually get confused with this and or operator. Okay, so there is something internet. If you just go to Google and if you type something called AND gate, you will find the logical definitions of AND gate. Okay. Let me see if I have it any. Say AND gate in SQL or Python. I can just look like something like this. No problem. So I'll just explain. Yeah, I will just explain.
And
yeah.
Okay, I'll just go ahead. For and, I think the thing is it needs to be every condition needs to be satisfied there. So,
yes, correct.
So, yeah.
That's it. So first of all, you need to understand one thing. Okay, we'll talk about the order of execution very soon, but you need to understand whatever you are saying, select everything that must follow everything that we have it here. Okay, so SQL works row by row. This is very, very important statement. You need to remember SQL works row by row. When you say that get me everything from orders, SQL first get you the first column, first row, then get you the second row, then get you the third row. So while selecting the first row, SQL will need to go through all this condition that you have mentioned. So the condition you say that, okay, get me everything from the orders. So SQL will take the first row and you will check that state equals Assam. Is it Assam? No, it's not going to select it. Okay. Now you have mentioned, see, you have mentioned here N. If you have mentioned N, that means all the condition must be satisfied for one row. Okay. For one row, all condition must be satisfied because we have mentioned N. N means all condition must be true. When we talk about or, any condition, any one condition can be true. So we would say here, all condition must be true. Okay, and here we can say that any one of the condition must be true. So we'll understand the difference. But if you see here, Now, one order cannot have multiple states. Even if it is Assam, still, let's say SQL say, hey, get me everything from where all this first, take the first row like this one. It will check, okay, state is Assam, great, I'm going to select it. But the thing is that it's at end. So it's going to check, hey, now I need to check the second condition. Is the state is Goa? Obviously, that's not possible, right? Because one customer can be from one state. So that means SQL is not going to select this one. It's the reason I'm getting 0. No results. Even I have Assam and I have Bihar and I have Haryana, okay? So that's the reason. But if you use something called OR, if you use OR here, so even for one row, even one of this condition is true, it's going to select it. Let's say SQL is working for this row at that time, and it says, hey, state is Assam. It's not going to even check this rest of the conditions. Why? One condition satisfied, that means it can select this row. Good to go. Okay. Now when SQL is checking for this Haryana, this 6 number row, SQL will check, okay, state is Assam. No, obviously not. SQL is going to check, okay, I have a OR, so I can check rest of the condition. SQL is going to check, is the state is Goa? No. So still one more condition, SQL is going to check, is the state is Haryana? Yes, it's a Haryana. So SQL is going to select this row. Very important. If you are using OR, so even one condition is true, it is going to select it till the time it doesn't even satisfy one conditions. If you're using AND, every condition must be true. Now, when to use what? Okay, we will see it. So most of the time, when you are comparing with only one column, you will be using OR. This is how I remember basically. Okay. Now, when you have multiple columns, so the question can be something like this. Okay. So all orders where I would say maybe the state is maybe Assam. Okay. And we say the category is technology. Okay. And we can say maybe, yeah, these two things. Okay. So here you see the question already pretty much tells you what you need to do. It says get me all the order details where the state is Assam, that's state is one column, and the category is the technology. That means say now both condition can be satisfied. So first SQL is going to filter all the data by state is Assam. Now from the Assam there could be some cell for technology, some cell for office. Then it is going to put the second filter here. So here same row can satisfy both the condition because they are in the different columns. Okay. So let's say if in case you need this, so we can go ahead and select this way. Okay. Select all the orders where state is Assam, and we can go ahead and say and we need end. And we will just say that category is a technology. Okay. So I will get the results. Now you'll see a difference. Okay. You say I am getting 64 rows at the moment where I have defined both the condition must be true. That means the state is a technology, and the state is Assam, and the category is a technology. Okay. Now what if I just say OR here? What will happen? It's going to increase the row. You see now I have 2000 sales. Okay. Now what is happening? Even one condition is true. Okay. Even one condition is true. It is including that row. So what I mean is that even if there's a sale, it is just from Assam. It is including that. Why? Because it's a OR. So row, it is going to include it even the row satisfy one of the conditions. All the sales from Assam is included. All the sales from category is included. Even if the sale is not from Assam, but it is from category technology, it's going to include. Why? Because we have used a OR. SQL takes one row, check state is Assam, no. Then check state category technology. This category is technology, yes. Then it include that row. Even you see different states. Okay. So I hope this concept is clear. It's kind of pretty confusing out starting, but again, solve some problems. It's going to be very easy. So just remember this way that OR means any condition has to be true, and AND means all the condition has to be true. Before that, you must remember that SQL works row by row. That means row after row. So this statement you need to remember. Then only you can build that logic. Okay, the second one that I said. Okay. So that is fine. Now we have seen kind of a lot of things. Let's see one more, comparison that then we will see group by. Okay, then we will maybe take a break. Okay. So we would say that between and okay. Let's do some filtering on this order date. So between is a logical operators. That's kind of give you a portion. I can say between 2 and 10. Okay. Let's say you are in a schools and you have different students. and this 1 2 are this roll number. Okay, so you can say I need, your teacher can say I need all the students which is between 2 and 10 in one group, correct? So it's going to be 2 and 10. So that means this 2 is also included, this 10 is also included. Okay, so you say 2 and n. So between text starting values and end values. So same way we use same logic here as well. Okay, so you can use this between on a new number data or on a, you can say date data types, or on a time. You cannot use this between in a name. You cannot say between, let's say, Rahul and maybe Sam, right? Because it make no sense. So it has to be sequence data where you can use this between. So let's say I need all the sales of 2023. Okay, so let's say I need all the sales, everything from orders. So all the sales I need only for 2023. I have 2020 sales, 21, 23. Okay, so many different sales. So as I said, this between you can use in the date type, data type as well. So for that, you just need to use this call between the start date and end date. Okay, so it takes two arguments. One is the start date, one is the end date. So here you will say that select everything from orders. Okay, now you will say where, obviously because you're using a filter, right? You need a specific data from orders, not everything, which meet a condition. So we need to select the data for 2023. Now, how do I select the data, every data from 2023? So I can say that order date. Okay, now order date how? Now you cannot say order date is 2023, obviously because it's not the year, right? It has so many different things. So here, usually I use this, which is called between and. Okay, I write it both so that I don't forget the syntax. So I would just go ahead and put this in next line by pressing tab. And here I would say between order date between, and here I would give the starting date. The date data types is something like this. Okay, 2020, let's say 2023 I need, and I would say 01 and 01. So that's my starting date. Okay, so 2023 I know it start from 1st Jan. Okay, now I would say it ends with what? 31st December, right? So I can say 2023 12 31st. Okay, now this will ensure any order. See, SQL will work row by row. SQL will take first row and it is going to check, hey, is the order date is between this range, the first day of 2023 to end last day of 2023. It is, yes, it is going to include it. Now, good thing is that this between ensure that the first and the last values are included. Okay, so if I just execute, I will be getting all the sales which is between this and this range. So here both the values are included. Okay, so between, you can say that I need all the sales that is between 10,000 order ticket and maybe 20,000. So you can use in the sale column as well. Okay, same logic between and n you need to mention, because the between means what? It's between a portions, right? So that it has n and kind of the end and starting, right? Starting and ending. Now, as it's a data, as I said earlier, that date must enter inside the single quotes, date and text. So we have entered inside the single quotes. This is the column name. That's the reason I am not putting it is inside the quotes. But this is the data which we are comparing, and it's a date type data. It must be inside the single quotes. And the second thing is the date must follow this format, which is called year, month, and day. Okay, most of the people get error while importing the data because the data is not in this format. If you see the data in Excel, you see this data is in different format, right? So if I try to save this data now and try to import, I'll be getting error. So first I need to change this data by going into settings and go to date, change this format, which is called year, month, and days. Now I can save it and import this data. Okay, then I'll not be getting error. Okay, now you have seen how to use this. Let's see one more point, which is here, which is I'm going to kind of show you here. Let's say I need all the sales informations where the state is Assam, Goa, and Haryana. Okay, so same thing, we can solve something with in operators. So here what you need to do is that you can say where state in, and you can put all this kind of 3 states, which is called Assam, maybe Punjab, and maybe call Haryana. Okay, so both returns the same result. Sorry, we needed Goa, so I can say Goa. You will see that we are getting 985 records. Let's say this one, 985 records. So what happens usually when you use in? So you're saying, hey, select everything from orders state. Where state, you see where state is Assam. Earlier you have to say equals. Now you're saying in. That means now when you say in, you're going to define the values inside this parenthesis and distinguishing by comma, separating by comma. Okay, so it is going to select the order if it is from Assam, or if it is from Goa, or if it is from Haryana. This is how I read it. Now in operator does the same thing, but you don't have to write every time this state equals Assam or state equals Goa. If there is a 20 different thing that you want to compare, so this in is the best way to write it, because here you need to write less code to get the same job done. Okay, otherwise every time if you're comparing, you need to write the column name, then values, column name, values, column name, values, or right. So this is the best way to get the data, where you are trying to get the data based on multiple conditions. Okay, so you use in, and inside this you put all the states name. Now if you don't need the data which are from Assam, Goa and Haryana, then you can use a not in. So in not doesn't work. It has to be not in. This way it comes. See, now I get all the sales which are not from these 3 states. Okay. So this is how it works. Now imagine if you had to write all the states name using or. So you would have to write 25 states name. So the code would be like so long. But there was a requirement that I need all the sales where I don't need the sales from Assam, Goa, and Haryana, or maybe I don't need the sales from technology and future furniture. So I can say that every sales I need where the category is not equals, not in this category and furniture, isn't it? So this is how it works. So now in is what we will be using, quite frequently. Now let's see our next topic, that's going to be group by. So let's see, first of all, what is group by? Okay, so I have some example here. Okay, group is basically based on some similarity, you put them at different groups. Now let's say talk about maybe we are from India, right? So let's say you are also, me also, we are from India as a customers of Amazon. Amazon want to see that each states and how many kind of customers we have, correct? So Amazon has a simple kind of different customers, right? All these different customers Amazon has. So if Amazon want to see that each states and how many customers we have, what they need to do, we need to kind of segregate the customers based on the state, right? So based on the state, customer will put this is one of the state, this is one of the state, and this is one of the state, right? And then in each state they can count like how many customers they have or how many orders they have received, right? So same way we do group by. Now best way to explain this is that in Excel, if you have used Excel, there's something called pivot table. Let's say there's a question where we want to see each states and the total sale. Okay, let's make sure that first of all no filter is being applied. Okay, so we want to see each state and their total sale. So for that, what we will do is that we will be using something called pivot table. If in case you are exploring the data, it's a large data, 10,000. Now you want to find out each state and the total sale. It will take ages, right? You will first select one of the state, maybe something called Assam, and we're going to see the total sales, right? And you'll write down, then you will take the second state, maybe something called Bihar, and you will write down, right? So it is going to take a lot of time, isn't it? But what if there is a functions which simply based on the similarity, it group the data, and for each group it gives you the total sales. That's going to be easy, right? So that's where we use a functions called pivot table. Select the data, go to insert, go to pivot table, and existing or maybe new sheet, press OK. If you have used Excel, so for you it's going to be really easy. So you get a dialog box. Here you have something called row. Here you need the column name by which you are doing the group by. By its state, we want to see the state. So we see all the distinct state. You can see it here. Now for each state, what do you need? I need the sale. So sale, I would need to drag into these values. Okay, now you see for each state by default, I can see the total sales. For Andhra Pradesh, this is the 83,000. For AP, this is the sale. For Assam, this is the sale. For Bihar, this is the sales, right? Pretty easy, right? You don't have to do a lot of things. Now, if you need the total orders, you can drag this order ID as well here. Now you see this total orders showing this is the incorrect because it's doing a sum. For this order, we want to do a count because the order ID Maybe your order ID is 10,000, my order ID is like 11,000. If you want to see how many orders, it's going to give it 2, right? So it's going to be count. If I do a sum, 10 and 11 is going to 21,000. So we need to make sure it's a count. Now you see we have the correct orders. So each states and their correct orders. So same thing we will do in SQL. Okay, so in SQL we call it group by. In here we call it pivot table. So pivoting based on some similarity. Now, before this going further, I want to explain one topic here. Okay, now the group by is only possible by few columns, not by all the columns. You can do a group by this order ID. So it's going to find the similarity. So every order ID is different, right? So it's going to create 10,000 group. And in each group, there is only one records. Okay. You can do a group by this order date. It's a good columns because based on every day, you will see all the sales. Maybe sometime business want to see each day and their sales, right? You can do a group by the customer's ID because same customer bought multiple times. Okay. So what will happen? All the orders that is done by this customer 1 to 4, they will be in that group. Then you can do a sum on that group. Or you can do a group by the states. So you want to see each state and their total sales. You want to do a group by the category, each category and their sales. You want to do a group by the subcategory, each subcategory their sales, each product their sales. Okay, now this is not a best column to do a group by. And you can do a group by the quantities, and you can see each quantity types and that kind of total orders or total sale. Okay, this is not a best columns. You can do a group by the seller ID to see each sellers and their total sale. See, one thing is very, very common here when I say total sale or total orders. Whenever you're doing group by, you have some objective. You need to identify that objective. What is the objective? You want to see the total sale or total orders. Okay, you want to see the total returns, total orders, total sales, something like this, and number objective you have. So this is very, very important. You need to understand two things. One is by which column you want to see the objective. That is, you need to identify and what objective you need. If it's a total sale, you need to do a sum on this column. If it's a total orders, you need to do a count on this column. Okay, so let's go ahead and see how to do that. Let's say we have a problem. We have 5 problems which we are gonna solve, 1 or 2, and then we will take a break in just maybe one problem we can solve now. Oops, I'll just cancel it. Let's go ahead and take this this problems. Okay, let's see. Now earlier we have seen like each states and their sale, like one states and their sale. Now this is part of group by, so I would just go ahead and write a multi-line comments and put here call group by. And here we have different states and their total sales. Okay, so each group by questions will start with something like this. Okay, what is the total sales revenue generated by each state? See, something like this: by each state, by each customers, by each product, by each category. So by reading the question, most of the time you will be able to identify what is exactly you are looking for. See, if you read these questions 1 or 2 times, you will understand this is what is the total sale revenue. Obviously, that means it's a sales column generated by each state. Now you don't need the data for one state. You don't need the data for 2 states. You need all the possible state and their total sale. That means the simple way to tell is that we need each state and their total sale, aggregated sale. Okay, so let's solve this one here. And what is the total sales revenue generated by each state? So let's see. First of all, if you want to see all the distinct states, which we have already checked, I would just go ahead and say distinct. Okay, from orders. Okay, so we can just go ahead and say all the states. You can see we have all these 29 states, correct? Now we need all the states, and along with that we need their total sale, correct? So I would just remove this distinct first of all. So the way you do group by, first you write your categorical column. Very important statement here. When I say categorical column, not only this is the categorical column. Yes, it is the categorical column. This is also a categorical column. Why? Because this column has a different category. It has a Bihar, it has Assam, it has a different states, correct? So even this is also categorical column because it has a different customers. Same customer we can find multiple frequency. This is also categorical column, but this is not the categorical column because every order ID is a different. Okay, so group by is always done by a categorical column. So we write the column name first, and then we write the next column what I need. So let's say next column what I need is the sale. Okay, I write it like this way and I get the result, but it's not the group by. See, I'm getting 10,000 records. So I don't have 10,000 states, right? So here what I need to do is that I need to say group by. Same as like where you say group by and you put this except a state, this except a column name, a categorical column name from your queries. The column must be from this, whatever the columns you have selected here. So we will want to group by this state. So we would say group by state. Now if I run it, I get an error. Why? So along with group by, whenever you're doing group by, there cannot be any other column. You can only have one column. Okay. If you have any other column, that column must be having some aggregation function. Okay. So the aggregation functions I have already covered earlier. We have something called sum. We have something called average. We have something called min. We have something called max, and we have something called count. Okay. So the second column that you have, it must have one of this, kind of aggregations, because see, when you do a group by, out of this 10,000 data that we have, it is going to make 29 group for this state, isn't it? So we'll have 29 state 1 by 2. Earlier I have shown you using distinct. Now for this sale, it will have what? 10,000 rows. So that would be a kind of mismatch. 29 state, the sale has like 10,000. So which goes where? Now SQL cannot show that result, right? So for that, we would use aggregation, which is called sum here outside. And I can save it call as total sale. Okay. Now if I just execute it, I get each state and their total sale, aggregated sale, not the single sale in each state, whatever the possible sale I could have, I'm just adding it. So first SQL is grouping based on the similarity, which is state. So every orders that done from the Jharkhand that goes into that Jharkhand group. And then SQL here check for that specific group, the total sales, which is called aggregated sale for Jharkhand. Same for Rajasthan on all those different states. Okay. So very simple. In group by, you put the column name and here you select the column that you need to see in the result. So we need two columns. The second column automatically goes this sum. If you don't define sum, you get the error sign. Okay. So this is fine. And let's say you don't want to see this null. So here you can say where state is not null. Because it's null, so we can use this not null to filter it out. Because that is incorrect, right? Because null, there is no state called null. Maybe some customer missed it. Maybe they're from here, so we don't want to show that and confuse our, maybe stakeholders, right? So we can filter it out. Now, one important thing here is that order of executions. You see, I am not using this where here, right? Why? Because the where place is here only. Now let's learn order of execution, then take a break. Okay, so how SQL works basically. So SQL works this way. You say from, you give your table name here. Okay, this is very, very important. Just you need to remember it. Okay, then you say where, because once you have the table, then you can put in where condition, you can put some column that you want to compare. Okay, you give your column name here. Okay, then you can use order by if you have any order by. But if you have any group by, then group by will come here after the where, that is after the data is filtered, then you can do a group by. You can say group by. Okay, now we will learn something called having after the break. So you use having here. Okay, and you use like aggregations, aggregated columns. And then you can use order by. You can use the limit. You can use the offset, whatever you want to use. Okay, limit, offset if you have any. And after doing everything, then you select your whatever the columns you have. The SQL select that columns here, column 1, SQL select column 2, okay, column 3, whatever the column you need. Okay, so this is how SQL works. Now this works only if there is a no join. We will learn join as well. Okay, after the group by. So once you have a join, so join basically what it does, it combines 2 or 3 tables and it make one table. So that means join will come here. You say table 2. This is the table 1. Okay, if you have one more table, you would again say join table 3. Okay, so this is the order of executions from, then where, then group by, having, order by, limit, offset, and if you have joined, then it comes here, which is after this from. Okay, so this order of execution is very, very important. You cannot use where here. You cannot use where here. Okay, we'll learn about like what is the difference between having and where after the break. Okay, so anyone has any doubt, or let's take a break, which is 9:33, and let's break by 10, and then we will discuss about the doubt. Okay, all right, so it's 10. I think let's continue. And so whatever we have learned, if you have any doubts, okay, so far, so do let me know. So far we have covered like how to filter the data in your result, and we have seen how to do group by. Okay, now we will see how to do group by and get multiple different objective, like different numbers values. Okay, so let's solve this one, which is called how many orders were placed by each customers and what is their average order quantity. So let's first understand the question. Okay, so we will say here question, how many orders were placed by each customers. Okay, now by reading till here, you can understand that we need to find out each customers and how many orders they have placed, first of all. Then it says, what is their average order quantity? That means we need to find out their average quantity, like the total quantity, average quantity, you can use the average quantity, right? So first, let's see the table because it is something to do with orders table. So we would just go ahead and say select everything from orders so that we can see the order table. Okay. You can see it here. We have the order tables. Okay, now we need to find out each customers. So that means we have a customer ID column. We do not have anything else. So for each customers, we need to find out how many orders they have placed. So that means we need to count for each customers how many order IDs we have for each customers, first of all. And then if you see this quantity, so here we need to find out the average of quantity. We can find total quantity. We need to find out the average quantity. Okay. So first, to solve this problem step by step, okay, let's write down what is going to be our step-by-step approach. So first, we need to first select like each customer ID, okay, and their kind of total quantity, correct? So for that, we will need to do a group by customers ID. That's the first thing. And then what we need to do, we need to see that total quantity, right? So total, we need to see the total orders. So that means we can do a count on total order ID. Okay. And we need the average. Okay, average of quantity. Okay, all these things only possible if I do a group by the customer's ID. Very simple approach, no filter, nothing. Okay, so far. So let's go ahead and see how we can do it. Let me know, guys. I hope I'm audible and you guys can hear me. Okay, so I need some response. Let's go ahead and
Yes,
see.
you are audible.
Okay, thank you. Customer ID, and we want the count of order ID. Now, why I'm doing count? Because the orders ID, one order ID may have like values like 10,000, 9,000, you can see. So if I do a sum, it's going to be a sum of this and this, right? So which is going to be incorrect. So I need to do a count instead of sum because this number doesn't tell 212 orders. It tells only just the ID. It's an ID column, you can see. So we would say customers ID, count of order ID, and we need the second. So you can have as many as a number columns with group by. So we can have here quantity. So that's good. Average quantity. Okay, we can also have the total sales as well. So we would say sum of sale. Okay, as I said, you can have as many as number columns you want to have. So all these things only possible if I do a group by this column. You can see it here that customer ID must appear in the group by columns. Guys, please keep yourself on mute. Thank you. So see, I'm getting error because this count is returning one row result. This average is returning one row result. This is also returning one cell. So one cell return, one cell values return. But this customer's ID is returning 10,000 customers ID, right? So for that, what we need to do is that we need to say group by one. Okay, one means the first column. We can call this column as one. This column would be two. This column would be three. This column would be four. Okay. Now this is specifically in Postgres. You can use this column name here, or you can just use 1 or 2, or this is called like the number order of the column that you have in this select statement. Okay, now if I just execute it, you see I have each customer's ID and their count, which is like the total orders, their average quantity, and their total sale. We can give some nice name here. It's called maybe here. This one we can say as like total orders. This one we can say that what the average quantity. This one we can say like total sale, okay, or total revenue that is generated by each of these customers. Okay, so nice way. We have 138 customers and their kind of total orders, total quantity, and total sales. You can see it here. Okay, so you have seen that we have done a group by one column. Rest of the columns we had to use the count, which is aggregation functions, count, average, sum. Correct? So this is how you can do group by and solve different problems. Now you just need to read the question. It says which category has the highest average sale amount per order. Okay. So now this one I will see which category has the highest average sale per order. So this one to solve, we will need to use something called again window functions. But again, let's see if it can solve it. Okay, which category has the highest sale average sale amount? Okay. So first of all, we need to find out each category and sum of average sale. What do you need? Average sale from, okay, we can do it by without doing window functions, because I think we do have a category column and we can say group by one. Okay, we just need to, that's going to give us each category and their average sale, right? So highest average sale would be what? This one, which is called technology. So you can just go and say order by order by one, not one, order by the sale, right? The average sale, which is going to be 2 in descending. Now this is where it is useful. You can say group by one, order by 2. So this is the first column, this is second column from my this statement. So I can say this. So that means the highest sale is that technology I have, right? So I can go ahead and say limit 1. Okay. So you can see this is the technology. So what we have done, very simple. We had to find out each category and their average sale. Then the average sale is what? The average sale is like total sale of that category divided by the total number of sales. The total sale amount divided by the total number of sales. That is how you get the average sale for each category. And then you kind of do order by this average sale and you get your outcome. You say limit 1. And you see now here all of this order of execution things we have used, right? Just other than kind of what? Other than where conditions. Okay. If you want to use where conditions, you can do it here. Okay. Because we have a category that has something called null. So we can filter it out using where conditions. So where will come here? That's where the order of execution comes into pictures. We will say where category is not null. Okay, if in case we don't want only one category, so we can return this 3 category and their average sale. Okay, but if you need one, so again it's automatically going to filter the one, so no need of like using this statement. Okay, if you want to comment it out, just select this, click anywhere in this line and just control oblique or control slash comment, that converts this line to code or comment. Okay. All right, so these are some basic questions. Now let's see something called order, or something called aggregations on something called having, where we will see how this having works. Okay, so first of all, let's see this one. Maybe identify the top 3 best-selling product in terms of total quantity. So this one again is the same. We need to just do a group by the product ID, and then we can just sum on the quantity, and then we select the top 3. Okay, let's solve this one, which is called which is the best selling month in 2022 based on the revenue. Okay, then we will do this having. So this one we want to solve. Okay, now you will learn something called date functions here. So it says which is the best selling month in 2022 based on the revenue. So you see in this data, do not have something called month. Okay, you can see we do not have a month column. So we need a month column so that we can do a group by the month, because it's very simple, which month has the best selling. But we have something which is called the date. So based on the date, you can create a month column. In SQL, that's the good thing, is that if you have an order date, you can create a month column, quarter column, day name column. So all those things are possible. Okay, so for that, you just need to know one line of like syntax, which kind of convert a date into month, which I am going to show you. So let me say that I want everything. Okay, let me say I want everything, and I want from this date, I want to create a month column. So for that, what you need to do is that you need to use something called extract, and you can say extract month from this column, which is called order date. You see, I'm just adding a new column after giving comma. Everything I'm selecting from the table, then I'm just adding a new column. And here I'm just saying extract month from order date, and I'm going to save it as month. Now, if I just run it, it's going to create a new column. Okay, let me just show you. See, a new column is created. It has extracted what from our date? It has extracted this month number. You see, it is a 4 here. So if you see, it's a 4. You see 12, 9, 11. Okay, so you can see here 12, 4, 9, 11. Now, if you want to see in Excel, we have the same functions. Okay, so in Excel, I can just go ahead and create a new columns. And here I would just say I need the month from this. So you need to write month, and you just need to select this column. Okay, you see. If you don't see it now, you just need to convert it into numbers. You can see now we have month, which is 12, 4, 9, 11. Okay, you can see 2. So you can just remove this decimals. Okay, the simple month you have used in Excel. Inside the brackets, you have put this order date columns. Okay, now in MySQL also, if you have MySQL, so MySQL, you don't have to write this extract. You simply write month, and you put your column name, which is called order date. That automatically convert this order date to month. But in Postgres, you need to write something called extract month from order date, this line extra. Okay, if you need the year, then you would just say, instead of month here, you would say year. Okay, and you can just save it as a year. You can just check. Now this time it's going to extract the year. You see 23, 20, 20. So it is converting this date and extracting this year. Okay, if you need even the day, that also works. So you can just go ahead and say that what you need is the day. Very simple to remember, because you just need to say extract, in the brackets you give what you need and from where, the column name. You can see I am getting month, year, and day. Okay, so now what I need is that I need only the month. I don't need this day and everything. So let's just comment it out, and only need the month. And for each month, I need the total sales, correct? So I cannot give a comma here. So let's just go ahead and run it. So I have this month column, which I need for each month. I need the total. So that means what? I have a column called month. Now I can do a group by this, and I can do a sum on this, right? So I would have for each month the total sale. Now the problem is that we have created a month column, and this month is also even giving me the same month number for 23 as well, for 20 as well. Okay, why? Because it's simply getting the month number. Every year we have 12 number, which is 1 to 12, right? Now that means we need to filter the data only for what? 2022 as per the question, right? 2022. So for that, here we can say where, and you have two options, between and end. You can use, which we have learned earlier, or here you can use these functions which I have shown you here. Okay, you can go ahead and say where extract year from this order date and equals 2022. Okay, now let's understand what is happening here. I hope you remember earlier where we have kind of seen this data, which is this column. It was extracting the number of the year from this order date. And if you remember the data types, okay, the data type was int. You can say numeric, which is a number data types. Okay, so that means here I can say that filter, click the filter icon in Excel, and I would select the 2022, right? Because I have created a nice column which has a number type data, and I can compare it using 2022. You can see I'm comparing with 2020, and I only see 2022 data. So same approach we can use to filter. Now, if I don't need the year, I can just unfilter it, unselect it. Now I have the data only for 2,369 records, which are from 2022. You can see it here. Okay. If I need for 2023, I can just get 2023. Okay. I would have now 2023. You can see. So what is happening? Let's understand. Okay. We are saying where extract. See this side from the order date, I can put the date, specific date here. I want to compare with a specific date, but from the order date, I'm converting into a number series, which is a year that I'm getting from this, and then I can simply compare with the year. Okay, same thing what I'm doing here. If you get this complicated, then we can use which is called order date between and, right? So here you can go ahead and say 2022 01 01, and you would say that 2022 12 31. Okay, so you will be getting same result. You can say 250, I think 23 what I was getting 2300 records. So we will see 2300 records I'm getting all the sales for 2022. Okay, so both approach gives you the right answer. Whatever you feel comfortable, you can use it. Yeah,
Please can you repeat this part?
which one?
Which is the best selling month in 2022 based on the revenue?
Yeah, so this one simply what it does is basically convert this order date. See, I can compare it with something like this, right? I can just go ahead and say where order date equals, I know it's a date type, so I can compare it with, let's say, specific this date, 22 March of 2022, right? So I can go ahead and say 2022 3/22. Okay, because this is the order date, I can compare with the date, right? This is the order date columns, I am comparing with the date. I would only get the data for one day, which is called 2022 22nd March, right? You see, I'm getting it. Now, what do you think if I convert this data into year? So instead of having this month and day, I would delete all those things. I would only left with this year, 2022, 23, whatever it is, right? For all the order, I will just have a year here. Then I can say instead of saying that date is equal date, I can say that year equals year, right? So in the year, I can put any numbers. Like I can put 2022, 2023, whatever I need. So the same thing I am doing here. As this function convert this date into year, then we compare with the number, because this convert this year, this date into year number series, which you have seen earlier here. Like same here.
Well, extract is a keyword, right?
We're not extracting the keyboard, we're extracting the year here. From this column, we're extracting this year. If I say extract month, I would extract this month number. If I extract this day, I would extract this day number. So what you mention here, you extract that. If you want to see this example, I would just uncomment it again, and you will see that I would have a new column. Let's kind of delete everything else. Okay, let's say just have this order date columns, and I would just from the order date, I'm converting into month. I'm extracting the month from this order date, and from this order date, I'm extracting the year. So I have 3 columns now. Let's see. Let's forget about everything else. You see, from the order date, I'm extracting the month, so I get the month, and its data type is number.
Yes.
And I'm from this, I'm extracting the year, data type is year. Now I can, don't you think I can just filter the data saying that hey, month is only 22, only 12. So I would only have those records where this month is 12. Or I can say, hey, where this year is 2023. So I would just say this column equals 2023, right? So I would have only the data where this year is 2023. But how you are getting this column? If you want to understand how you are getting this column, we are creating this column based on this logic. Correct? This extract functions. So the same thing I am using in the where conditions, because in where conditions, I am creating a column, then I'm comparing with 2023. Okay, very simple, maybe a little complicated, but for that, you can just use the Excel to understand. If you want to understand it here, I can just go ahead and say that let's delete it. Let's say create a year column from this date. You can simply say year and put this column name inside the brackets. You see year column is created. Now I can just go ahead and filter it. I say I only want to see the 22 data. Can you see it? I've used the same approach. Now I did not had a year column. I have used this order column to convert this order column into a new column. Basically extracted the year from here. Then I'm filtering on that column. Okay. Same logic I have used in SQL. So that is how you kind of work with the year data. Now that's fine. What you wanted to see is that we have a year column, we have a month column, we have an order date column. Let's kind of get this everything back now. Let's run it. And you see, I have kind of everything. I don't need this. I missed a comma here. Let's kind of run it. Let's see, I have added extra comma here. So we have each year, I mean, each data for 2023, we need 2022. So I would just change it back to 2022. Okay. We have to find out the best selling month. That means the month that has the highest sale. Correct. We have 2300 records, all the different dates and their kind of sale for 2022. So the question is very simple. Which is the best selling month? That means for each month, we only want one sale. One sale means the aggregated sale. All the sale for Jan in one place, all the sale for March in one place. Then we can do an order by the sales, so we get our answer. So that means I would need one column, which is this one, which is called month column that I have just created. Okay, and the second I would need what is that the sale column. Okay, so then I would just do a group by the month column and sum on this column, and I would do an order by this column. I get my answer by doing an order by and limit one. So that is what we will do. We will go ahead and say we don't need all this thing. We only need this month column, next column, because this month is now my categorical column. This one, I will do a group by this so that I can do a sum on the sale, and I can say as a total sale, right? So here I can do a group by this column. So to do a group by, you can simply go ahead and say group by one, because one means the first column, two means the second column. Okay. Once you do a group by, you can have the sum of aggregated sale for each of the month of this particular year, because the data is filtered for 2022. You see, I have 12 month, only 12 month. These are from 2022 and their total sales. I can just do a order by this in descending. So I have the month with the highest sale. I would say order by to descending. And if I do it, I have the result, what I'm looking for, which is this month. You can see November is the month where I have the highest sale. Also somehow like these are the highest sale, right? So this is the month where I have done the highest sale, which is $56,000. Okay, so we can go ahead and say limit one to select the first month. Okay, so this is where we end our these problems. So again, as I said that you may have to go through each solutions multiple times to read the questions after the workshop, once the workshop ends 3 days, and try to see if you can solve this problem. You will be getting the PPT. If you're not able to solve it, try your approach. What do you think? Which column you need to create, and then how you will do group by which column. And if you are still stuck, go through the video. Try to solve 2 or 3 times. Once you solve it 2 to 3 times, you will be able to kind of connect the dot and you'll be able to solve this. Okay. Now let's see some more common date functions. Okay. Date functions which you will use so frequently. Now, why I love PostgreSQL is that the date functions in PostgreSQL and Python is very, very easy. I also love Python, by the way. Okay, so let me show you. If you need to see that date functions in PostgreSQL, we have something called get, like in get date in MySQL, which gives you the system date. Today is which is called 28th of September. So this get date function is going to give you the today date. If you want in Excel's, there is something called now that gives you the current time and hour. You can see this now functions. Now from now I can get the date. So for that you just need to get outside the now, you can just say the date, or you can just say kind of current date as well, I think. Okay, so now gives you the date. Now you can just convert it into a date. Simply just say date. Now same in PostgreSQL, you have the same functions. Okay, if you need the today date from the system, so you need to something called current. You see current date is going to give you the today date from the system. This returns today date. Okay, we have called current timestamp, current time. This returns the current time from my CPU. Okay, or system, whatever you want to call it. We have something called current timestamp. Okay, current timestamp that returns the date and time both. Return date and time. Okay, both. Now this three function is very, very, very useful. Why? Because if somebody asks you that, hey, get me the yesterday sale. Okay, Now, how do you get the yesterday sale? Okay, the way you get the yesterday sale, you can go ahead and say that select everything from the orders table. Okay, and you can say where order date equals, and here you need to put the yesterday date manually, right? So let's say whatever the yesterday date is, like 2024 and 9 of 19, right? You put manually. So every time, let's say if you want to use these functions tomorrow, you would again need to change this to 20, right? Yesterday is going to be 20. So how do you automate it? Let's say if you want to automate it, what you can do is that you can just in SQL, in Postgres SQL, you can say that instead of writing it yesterday, hard coding it, you can simply say current date minus 1. That's going to give you the yesterday date. I can show you. So in like Python, you have something called print. Okay, print, and in print, whatever you put, you see your output, right? In SQL, same, like we don't say print, but we say select. And I can say select from current date, and you will see that I will be getting today date from the system. Okay, let me just show you. You see, today date is 28, right? I'm getting it from the system. If I say today date minus 1, I can just show you. It's getting 19 like yesterday date. If I say minus 20, I would get 20 days old date. Okay, so this is something very, very interesting. So let's say if you did the yesterday date, so you can say order date must be yesterday. How do you know it's a yesterday? Because you know the current date is always going to return the today date from the system. And if you minus from today date minus 1, that's automatically what? That's automatically 1 day, right? If you need 1 year old date, you need 365 days, right? You say 365. Now I can just show you. I can say 365. I'll be getting 1 year's old date. Okay. You see 21 of September 2023. Okay, so this is very, very useful. Now, if you want to see the time, you can say select of current time. You see, I'm getting this current time, which is 22 o'clock 26, right? So same way. So very, very useful. And now I'm going to show you something else, which is called kind of converting a date to a day name. Okay. So let's say from this date, first of all, let's see the extract functions again. Let's say from this date, we know that this today date is kind of 28th September. Let's say I need this year, right? Which is 2024. So I can go ahead and say that select extract year from this current date, right? I'm getting 2024. Okay, so this give me year. If I need the month, it's a September, so obviously it's a 9. I can show you it's month. Okay, should be month, not as the singular verb 9. Okay, if I need the day, I can simply say day. Now these are the Postgres SQL syntax which I have added in the 100 Postgres SQL cheat sheet. So you will be getting that by end of the workshop. So 100 Postgres cheat sheet, I think. Postgres SQL cheat sheet. No problem. So I'm just going to give this in the last day. Okay, so I have created a cheat sheet where you will be able to find out all these things. So let me just check. Okay. Links for batch 9. So you'll be getting something like all the links with this. So by the today and only you will be having it. Okay, which is called 100 most used SQL commands. Okay, so here you will be getting a Google Doc, and you can go through some basic syntax. So in this syntax, you will have something called date functions, which you can go through. Okay, so there are 100 most useful commands I have added. So you see here we have the date functions. So current date, it returns the current date, current time, explanations, examples, everything is given here. Okay, age functions return the difference between to date. Okay, year functions, you say extract year from the timestamp, you can see it here. Okay, so this is fine. You can see this is going to return the date, which is fine. Now let's one more thing I want to show you how to get day name and month name. Okay, year name is again it's number, so you cannot have the year name, but day name you can get it, month name you can get it from the system. Let's say from the today date, I want to get what I want to get in the today kind of day name. So today is a Friday, you know, in India. So we can go ahead and say select and day name. You need to use something called to care. That means we're